What's going on? I am Nando.
Oh, and I have to say, I am DJ.
Привет. Diggins.
And this is Mostly Nitpicking, a podcast where every week we'll pick apart a piece of pop culture by looking exclusively at the details. Woohoo! This week, StepTomber is almost done, but it's not. There's one more day of StepTomber left for the podcast.
One last gas.
Yeah, so we are going to be talking about, we wanted to find I don't know, did we look for specifically, like, the worst possible Tom Hanks accent, or did we come upon this movie for a different reason?
Just another one. We're like, one. What? Yeah. After watching the trailer, we were so convinced.
We were just kind of thinking of what other movies did he do a wild accent for some reason, and this is what we came up with.
Yeah, so we're doing 2004's, right? That when this came out? 2004's The Terminal, and it's got Tom Hanks in it, and other people, lots of people. So we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna nitpick that. And if it's a movie that you're like, who gives a shit? Well, A, fair, but B, it's pretty weird, and you probably want to at least hear the basic story of it, because it's really weird, and it also came at a very strange time in America. So The Terminal is a movie that we're going to be talking about. 2004's The Terminal. Before that, we've got some news, obviously. News has happened since last time we all spoke. So you guys want to hear about it?
News is happening all the time.
Unless do you guys have news, but probably not.
Nope. All
right, you guys, this is the news. I don't have that much news. But basically, Avatar is back in theaters, you guys. It features a post-credits scene, apparently, with more stuff.
Oh, really?
But also, the most interesting thing I saw coming out of this, because I know people on Twitter that saw it, so a couple posted about it. First of all, I think we're doing this weird revisionism with Avatar where we're all pretending it's good. It's fine. Like, I don't know. It's weird. But there's like a backlash to the backlash that seems to be going on where we're all pretending it's an amazing movie.
I think the thing about that is Avatar is a good movie when you watch it in a theater because it looks so amazing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Accurate.
That's a fair analysis.
So now it's in theaters again. People are watching it and being like, wow, this is so good. Why does everyone say it's not that good? And then if you watch it at home, you're like, well, this isn't that good.
And I do think there is like a fog in the theater that is created by Avatar that makes you like it. And then when you leave, you kind of lose the shine of it. And by the time you get to your car, you kind of forgot that you saw it. A little bit like that, where like if you immediately react to it, oh my God, incredible. But one of the reactions I saw to it was someone was upset because apparently they cut down on the hair sex scene.
What?
Now,
this is an outrage.
But according to them, or according to somebody else, that was actually in the extended edition, but not in the regular theatrical edition. I don't believe that, but like, because I feel like I saw it in a theater, but maybe they showed the extended version in the theater also, and I had forgotten. But yeah, I could see them getting rid of that these days. That seems like something they'd cut for like Saudi Arabia or something.
Yeah.
Right?
Now,
like
parents are concerned because teenagers have been having hair sex the past year or two.
That's right.
And they don't want to encourage that.
And I mean, straight hair sex obviously is fine, but there's other kinds of hair sex, and we can't have that going on. Maybe that's bad in the Avatar world, too. Maybe there's a whole nother tribe of avatars that are cool, and they're like, these fucking guys. They won't even let two men do hair sex together, or whatever we call ourselves. Two Navis.
Navi.
Yeah. I don't know, that movie's weird. Remember when they have sex with the pterodactyls too, kind of?
Well, yeah, so they link up or whatever.
Because their hair is, it's like their USB cord that they can use to plug into the animals and remote control them, but it's also how they have sex. To be fair, where we do the sex is also where we do the pee.
That's fair, but it's if we had to do the pee onto the pterodactyl or the, I guess, Ford Bronco or whatever to make it go, that would be weird. But especially if we're alive.
We could design a car like that, I'm sure.
Ooh. That's true.
I know that it would be a good idea, but we could.
Yeah, it could be a good breathalyzer, too. Like, you can analyze levels of alcohol, kind of,
right.
Not breath way, but...
Yeah, if your car tests your pee and it's got too much alcohol in it, it just won't let you drive it.
Yeah. Okay. That's pretty good. So, yeah, that's an Avatar. I don't know. We're like maybe 4 months away from Avatar, right? Something like that. You guys excited for Avatar too?
December?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's even
sure.
less.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, 3 months away.
Am I excited?
I am excited. I don't know if it'll be good, but I'm excited.
Yeah, I get that feel.
The mystery of what an Avatar 2 could possibly be is so tantalizing to me. Like,
yeah, it's fair.
What more could there be to say about the Avatar world? What possible justification could there be to go back to that well after, 10, 13 years? Something like that? It's just, I have to know.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be amazing.
I mean...
Right?
Do you think there's any, chance there won't be some, little message from James Cameron telling us how cool it is that we went to see his movie in the beginning?
If I were Vegas, I wouldn't even take bets. It's happening.
I feel like it's just, I don't know, it's going to be weird. It might be I could see, it's weird, I could see it going either way. I could see it being the biggest thing in the world, or something that doesn't have any footprint whatsoever. There's very few things like that that I'm just like, that won't happen.
Like the first Avatar, which was both of those.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I guess I'm thinking of people just won't see it in my second version, but maybe that is true. Maybe they'll see it and then just kind of forget. I don't know. I really can't tell, but it's probably not going to be. We'll talk about it. We'll probably do Avatar 2 at some point, right? Avatar 1 as well.
Yeah, we probably should, right?
Yeah, I feel like that
to
would
prepare.
Be fair. Yeah,
for Avatar-ember.
That's right.
Yeah,
this Avatar.
Well, who is the main actor in Avatar? What's his face?
Sam Worthington.
It would be Sam Worthington. We could do the Bad King Arthur movie. We could do.
You're gonna have to be more specific.
I don't think he's in that. I think you're thinking of Charlie Hunnam.
Oh God,
Sam Worthington was in a movie where someone was on a roof and they were gonna jump off the roof. I remember that. It came out right after Avatar, and it was just
that wasn't Charlie Hunnam. I was so convinced it was Charlie Hunnam.
No, yeah, I think that was Sam Worthington. And Sam Worthington was also in the Transformers movie, the fourth one of those.
All the same people, man. Hollywood just has the same people copy-pasted over and over and over again.
That would be cool if they just swapped it out. They thought halfway through the movie it became Charlie Hunnam, and they saw if we noticed. And I guess he's blue the whole time anyway, so who could even tell? But, yeah, I don't know what to say. I don't know, I just don't know what to expect.
Yeah. Oh, Lord.
What a bizarre... I mean, I guess, because right now, I think Top Gun is the highest grossing movie of the year. What if at the end of the year, it's Top Gun and Avatar 2 are the two biggest movies of the year? Just unreal compared to other years.
I mean, to be fair, those are now both franchise movies instead of the original movies their predecessors were, so it wouldn't technically be breaking the trend.
Yeah, I mean, it would be breaking the trend of not being a Star Wars or Marvel thing, which seems to be the current trend.
But also, is Maverick a franchise movie? If it just felt like a second movie.
Well, it was based on a very popular movie that a lot of people have nostalgia for, which I think counts.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm 50-50 on that. I do think maybe 3 makes a franchise, but I don't know. But it is, it's going to be, I mean, it's weird too, because the movie itself, it does, I think it kind of functions as its own thing, but it is clearly one of those, heavily referencing the original kind of reboot, so I don't know. I mean, we can talk about Top Gun sometime. It's hard. I was thinking about, will that be good for this? And the answer was no.
Yeah, it wouldn't.
I think it's too straightforward and also competent. Whereas,
yes.
This week's movie is both. Well, I don't know. I guess this week's movie is straightforward in terms of the pitch is what it is, but it's also not competent, or is it? I don't know. We'll decide.
We shall see.
Because we're doing, like you said, 2004's Top Gun Maverick.
Yep.
Well, the beginning. This is a prequel where he learns what an airplane is, and then in the sequel he learns how to fly it. Maybe Krakozhia was the villain in Top Gun Maverick, the secret country that we never find out about.
Very possible.
Maybe the janitor was right the whole time and he was a spy.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That would be funny.
And when he says he's going home, what he means is he's going to the home nuclear reactor to take pictures for the Krakozhian government.
yeah. That jazz guitarist or jazz saxophonist is also a spy. It's a whole web of communists working together to overthrow America.
He used a special pen that wrote down secret coordinates for where all the nuclear secrets of America are to a little little resort area in Florida.
Very good.
Disney World. Yeah.
Very good. You guys were talking about The Terminal, 2008. Is it Terminal? It's The Terminal. It's got to be.
It's
right?
The Terminal, yeah. Articles are important.
Directed by Steven Spielberg, starring Tom Hanks and a bunch of other people that you're like, oh, yeah, look. It's either, oh, wow, him, or like, yeah, I feel like I've seen him in something. There's a lot of those.
Yeah.
We'll get to it, but yeah, we're going to do The Terminal, you guys. Is everyone ready to talk about The Terminal?
Clamoring.
I'm curious how this goes. Not that I don't think the podcast will be good, but I'm just kind of curious in general where we are on it.
Well, before we do that, Nando.
Before we do that, yep.
All right, so it's time for the IMDb B as in spelling bee.
Incredible. DJ, I think you're in charge this week?
I am. So, guys, you're familiar with this game. So, for every week, we get the summary for IMDb.com. And the way they get the summary is that essentially what they do is they being the people at IMDb, they find movies and they find people who don't speak English, and they have them learn English by looking at brochures for New York and comparing them to other books. And what they do is that some of these books have movie summaries, and they do their best to take the movie summaries from another language and put them into English. So they're basically just like copying over facsimiles of different movie summaries from other languages. And then once they get like, oh, we have one. This is The Terminal that was translated from some other foreign language into the IMDb movie summary that I'm about to read. So, sometimes there's some, a translation error there. Games of telephone, but I think this one gets it pretty well.
Okay.
So Nando, you've been on a pretty rough losing streak.
I'm on a hot streak. I'm going to turn that franchise around. Yeah?
I have a question for you.
Yep.
I'll let you decide if you want me to give a hint to you two or not. Like, would you rather just go in blind, or do you want a hint?
I mean, I already know what I'm saying, so let's go in blind.
All right.
I write these down before I do them. I'd like to go first.
All right, go for it.
Okay. In his quest to become the smelliest man alive, Viktor Navorsky starts a military coup in his homeland of Krakozhia and becomes a man with no country and is forced to live in JFK Airport, where he wins the hearts of the airport denizens and even falls in love with a Jennifer Aniston-like flight attendant, maybe, who knows. The end.
Okay. Diggins?
Well, interesting theories in Nando's summary.
I think it's all true. I think there's evidence.
Possible. There's nothing in the movie that contradicts it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with Krakozhian tourist Viktor Navarsky ends up trapped in the terminal at JFK when he falls through a legal loophole due to a coup in his home country. Stuck in the terminal for months, he grows close with all of the residents of the airport and strikes up a romance with frazzled, what do you call it? Flight attendant Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Okay, well, you guys should have opted to take my hint. Neither of you got it. Way too many details. Way too much information there.
One of those.
Yeah.
So we have to go to our infamous tiebreakers, which I did not prepare for.
Well, we never do. That's the bit at this point. We never prepare a tiebreaker.
Yeah, I feel like... I mean, it's like you could just have us guess words from the title we didn't get. Or, like that... We've done that before.
Don't throw any lifelines to DJ. He's got to come up with this tiebreaker on his own.
Okay. Or some weird trivia thing.
Yeah.
I almost want you guys to have a do-over, because you both were so off. Yeah. Oh man. All right. Let's see.
Do a do-over if you want.
I mean, yeah, if you want to be boring about it,
it's an option.
I mean, you all know all of the actors in it. All right. Let's just do it this way. I want you guys to go back and forth and just give me as many of the character names as you can.
What? I'm going first.
Yeah. Okay.
Victor Navorsky.
Okay. You have to get first. Even if you only first, I'll take it.
Victor.
Diggins.
Amelia Warren.
Okay.
I do remember
Nando.
that one. Character name.
You watched this movie, right?
Yeah. I mean, none of them have names. I mean, they do, but like, do they though?
If it makes you feel better, Nando, I got another one locked in the chamber, even if you get this.
I mean, maybe you have the one that I have.
I have more than one.
How? Do you have the IMDb page open?
No, I got one of them memories.
I don't buy it.
Nando, not even one? You can't give me one more name?
God, no. I don't remember any of these people's names. I could give you a name. Let's say Mike. Is that one of them? Gotta be a Mike in there. Look, all that whole IMDb summary. You find Mike for me. He's in there.
There's no Mike.
Impossible.
All right, Diggins.
Well, if I get one, I win, right?
Yeah.
So allow me to stunt. We could, of course, talk about his janitor friend, Gupta, but that would be too easy. Instead, why don't we talk about Stanley Tucci's character, whose name is Dixon? But then, of course, if one wanted to, one could remember that the friendly, security person that he helps strike up that he helps Diego Luna romance has the oddly lyrical name of Dolores Torres. I'm done there. I had the three of them.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah. I think you're cheating. I do. I think that's cheating. There's no way you remember these characters' names.
Well, Gupta. Like, I was surprised you get Gupta.
Well, I'm not racist, so I didn't think that was funny. I was just like, I guess that's the character's name, and I moved on. But you guys in your head went, Gupta? What a silly name for a character like that. So
you got me. Well, you know what?
Oh, my God.
You know what, Nando? Just like this movie teaches us, racists win.
Apparently. What was the actual summary?
So, if I was going to give you a hint, I was going to tell you guys, keep it simple.
Stupid.
An Eastern European tourist unexpectedly finds himself stranded in JFK Airport and must take up temporary residence there.
All right. I mean, that's not wrong.
Yeah, right?
Is it wrong? It could be wrong. We don't know where Krakozhia is. It's not made clear.
It
seems Eastern European. Could be in fucking Africa. Who knows?
At one point, they say it borders Russia.
Yep.
Hey, you know what else borders Russia? China. A lot of places border Russia. Big country.
He also can converse with a Russian man and has some solidarity with an Albanian man. I mean,
do they have I couldn't figure that bit out.
He's clearly reading in Cyrillic.
What's that?
It is the alphabet used in Eastern European countries.
And they're not allowed to use that in China?
Well, they don't. They use the Chinese alphabet there.
Oh, yeah, but you couldn't bring a Cyrillic book with you and learn it? So it could be from China. It could be from a Chinese country or Chinese neighboring country.
You're suggesting that this manual at this airport bookstore, there'd be like a little tourist guide to New York City, wrote in Mandarin, but wrote it in the Cyrillic alphabet just in case there's someone who speaks Mandarin but reads in the Cyrillic alphabet.
Well, no, my guy reads Cyrillic and Mandarin.
Well, Cyrillic's not a language.
Like, he reads Mandarin, but he's also a friend. Like, he has both, Because he grew up in, China or a neighboring country of China, Krakozhia, but then he's traveled a little bit and he's gotten some other languages and other letters and stuff.
I'm not sure I understand.
I'm just saying that the movie implies that he's Eastern European, but it does not ever say that explicitly. So it's weird that the summary decides to put that in there.
Hold on. In this universe also that you're describing, Nando, he decided that instead of his first language, the one he knows best, and one of the largest languages in the entire world, and therefore almost certainly present in this stand of different guidebooks in different languages, he instead chose one of his other languages to do the translation with, to learn English.
Yeah, that book was cheaper, so he wanted to save money because he was poor at that point in the movie, so he went for the cheaper one.
Nando, I feel like you're upset.
I am upset, I'm upset because Diggins decided to be a dick, and the movie's stupid.
Oh,
I don't want to talk
man.
about the movie. I have a bad memory. I'm being penalized for it, for not being racist. And
Well,
Yeah.
but to be fair, the only reason there was a tiebreaker is because, like, you didn't get the IMDb summary either. So,
Mm-hmm.
Although I did think it was funny.
Uh-huh.
So there's that, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess I get to give a summary of the movie then, right?
You give a funny summary.
Now, Tom Hanks is a man who goes to America to do a thing that his dad wanted him to do because his dad is dead, I assume. I think I feel like he says that, probably.
They state that. It is stated.
Yeah. So he has to do that. At first, it seems like it's scattering his dad's ashes, but it's something else. And he gets stuck there because, like we said, some sort of military coup in his home country. And through a bunch of kind of arbitrary, not arbitrary, but like, what's the word? Coincidences. And just when he shows up there, he's not allowed to leave. He has to stay in the airport. Stanley Tucci hates him because he's nice and everyone likes him. And it's getting in Stanley Tucci's way of being in charge of the airport. So that's bad. And then this guy also has to kind of live in an airport, and he befriends a bunch of people, and then he eventually leaves, but then he doesn't leave, but then he does leave, and then he goes home. And then, well, actually, we don't know if he goes home, but he says he's going to go home.
Right. But as we said, that could be the home nuclear reactor, so he can take pictures for the Krakozhian government.
Right, because he's a horrible spy. Yeah.
He falls in love, but doesn't really go anywhere, surprisingly. Yeah, just it's a lot of Tom Hanksing around. It's based off a true story, kind of, which was still ongoing when they filmed the movie. You know that?
Yeah.
Guy was not out at the airport. They were just like, hey, we're gonna make a movie about you, assuming you get out of the airport. Obviously, they got a lot of other things wrong, but I just kind of assumed the story had a happy ending or some sort of resolution. But no, they just kind of went, what's it gonna be? What's the best case scenario for this guy?
You'd almost argue that's why there's no real ending to this movie.
To be fair, even more than Tom Hanks in this movie, that guy was given several outs to not have to do that anymore, and he just said no to all of them.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I did read up on him a little bit. It seems like he just went crazy, like you would in a situation like this, because you can't go to sleep because there's just constant noise. And,
right.
Yeah. So that's pretty much the whole movie. I don't know. It's kind of a bumbling. It's just kind of like Borat, you know? It's funny because he has weird customs. It's funny because he doesn't understand the language. He's kind of dull, but he's nice, but it just kind of happens. Just goes from place to place, gets a job, buys clothes. Stanley Tucci hates him.
For, no reason. It doesn't affect him in any clear way, just that he hates him.
Well, DJ, Stanley Tucci works for CBP, and Victor Navarsky is not from here. So, what other reason does he need?
That is true.
Yeah, Stanley Tucci's weird in this. But I don't know. I mean, this is how I'm sure the real guy was treated, or how you would feel for him. He would hate this guy because he would be just muttering to himself in a corner all day. Because this drove him insane. Yeah. But, yeah, with this, he's just, kind of well-meaning. And like I said in the summary, he's the smelliest man alive. He hasn't showered or bathed in 9 months.
Yeah, this thing's probably not doing it all that much.
Yeah, he washes his face sometimes and kind of gets some of that on his chest, but...
But does those, sink baths where you splash some sink water all over your pits.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, for that reason alone, it's get this guy out of my airport, but...
And some airports... I don't think JFK is one of them. Some airports do have showers.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh.
A lot of international airports do.
Do you have to pay for them, or can you just use them?
Usually in the lounges, the ones that the mean old French man turned him away from.
Right, yeah.
The real question is, Nando, what did you think of this movie?
I go second, because Diggins won,
right.
so Diggins
what did you
first.
think of this movie?
I did win this. By the way, before I say it, you guys ever have to stay overnight in an airport?
Yeah, I did once.
No. Yeah, me too.
We got drunk and then just kind of were up the whole night. It was fun. We had a good time.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
I was by myself, and I slept at a table, and it was very uncomfortable.
Ew. Why don't you get a hotel?
It wasn't worth it. I just had a 12-hour layover from midnight to noon, and it was there's no reason to go out because nothing's open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend the money on a hotel because I'm leaving not that long from now. I'm just going to hang out here. Right. Have some Irish McDonald's.
So you were in Ireland?
Well, I was coming back from Italy. I had a layover in Dublin.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
Plus, airports are kind of out of the way a lot of the time. So it's
yeah, it's true.
It takes a lot of money to get back to where you're going, or a place where it's fun And if it's like, especially if like your flight got canceled, it's probably because a bunch of flights got canceled, so the hotel, filled up. So it's like, just sleep in the airport.
It's fine. It's not comfortable, but you can do it for a day. I don't know about 9 months. But anyway, what did I think about this movie? Well, guys, this movie's from 2004, and it definitely feels of an older era. Not necessarily in the same way where I talk about some movies are like very mid-2000s that we do. It's not like that. It feels like a kind of movie you don't see get made much anymore. Just a very old,
it's true.
A very old school kind of romantic comedy sort of thing. And I'm ashamed to say I kind of like it.
Hey.
I don't know. Maybe it's just because I went to a friend's wedding this weekend and I'm feeling a little sappy. But I don't know. Some of the like romance stuff in this kind of worked for me. Maybe it's just that Catherine Zeta-Jones and Tom Hanks are good actors, and so when it gets to like their kind of heart to hearts, I'm like, you know what? They're selling me on this.
Out of your mind. Out of your mind.
Plain Jane, Catherine Zeta-Jones can't find a man because she's 39 and over the hill, and she could only find husbands of women who he'll cheat on. Ah.
Obviously, Tom Hanks is bad in this, but Catherine Zeta-Jones, I thought, was very bad in this. Like, terrible. So, her parts were always the worst parts of the movie for some reason.
Well, we could talk about that, I guess. But I like that. There was some jokes there that made me laugh. None of the ones that are based around him being a foreigner. All of those are terrible. But sometimes someone would come in the scene and start juggling rings, and I'd be like, what the hell is this? And it would make me laugh. I don't know. It's definitely a very weird movie, and I think it'll be fun to talk about for this podcast. And I'm not going to go to the bat for it or anything. I don't love this movie, but there is something kind of charming and sweet about its premise of just him being like this really good-hearted person who kind of wins everyone over because of that. It's a very Spielberg kind of movie, and I think it was crazy to me that he had made this before I rewatched it for this podcast, but having watched it again, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I can see the Spielberg in this. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you guys. Sometimes you just like it. Nando, what did you think?
Everybody but Stanley Tucci stunk. Worst career performance of all time for Tom Hanks.
Oh my God.
Somehow. Catherine Zeta-Jones wasn't terrible, but she was incredibly, like, she felt so, like, it felt like it had, so, I feel like we've talked about this in podcasts before. I don't know if we've never done radio, but I think I've called these radio moments.
Oh, yeah.
Where a character goes, we're not teaching radio, or radio. Wait, what is it? We're not teaching radio. Radio's teaching us. And in that movie, it's like a special needs person who hangs out with the football team or something. But like any movie that has that line and the person is eccentric or something, automatically in my book, probably like this movie. I don't care for it. But mostly it's just like nothing. Like, just like nothing happens. A lot of things like happen around this character. And there's no real payoff on the big end, like the romance, which I felt really strange. But I don't know. I just really found this guy super unlikable. He's real creepy. It's a lot of stalking. A lot of men stalk women in this movie.
Right,
it's kind of their like main pastime. It's long.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? It's just like, I think I talked about this last week. It's like that pizza delivery movie where it's like, this really happened to a guy and he died during it. This guy didn't die, but he might have died. It's unclear. They kind of lost track of him. But he had to be taken out of the airport by a hospital.
Last time they checked on him was not that long ago, and he was still in that shelter in Paris.
Yeah, so I guess he's probably... He could be alive, could not. But it was like... It's weird because it's this very romantic version of what seems like a nightmare for this actual human being.
Yeah.
So it's weird. That part of it, I feel like, is kind of strange. And also, in the shadow of 9/11, this movie is just crazy to me. That this was what America wanted, or like what someone thought was like a romantic, like, let's make a movie about why America's cool. Because everybody helps this weird Tom Hanks fellow at an airport. I don't know. Just feels, I don't know. It really struck me as like, makes me uncomfortable. And it was schmaltzy at times, but not in a way that I liked. But yeah, I really, really did not care for it. DJ?
So you've two left me in the incredibly rare position of having to be middle of the road DJ. So, okay. So I like feel very complicated about this movie. I don't love it as much as Diggins. I don't hate it as much as Nando.
I very specifically said I don't love it.
Okay, well, I maybe I like it exactly as much as you. I probably lean more towards Nando. So here's the thing. I like the funny bits, like, because there are, like, parts of this movie where you're watching and you just, like, burst out laughing. Or, like, him, like, dancing while painting, and the Stanley Tucci be like, you know how much this guy makes? He makes more money than I do.
Oh, man. Or that line is... Yeah. I have some thoughts about the logistics of that line.
Oh, yeah, no, totally. But I just, like, thought it was funny. There was like one other thing. Oh yeah, like the ring juggling, or like the dinner, the them driving through Just Married throughout the airport. That's fucking hilarious. So like stuff like that, and I'm like, oh yeah, this movie is awesome and hilarious, and I love it. But then, like, the tone of the movie is so weird, because the movie opens with like thousands dead in Krakozhian civil war, and like poor Victor's just like crying because all of his friends and family are dead. And like he can't figure out what's going on.
Damn.
And then it's like, actually,
I can't believe there was a civil war in Krakozhia too.
Yeah, right. Like
besides just the one in Krakozhia, his home country, there was also one in Krakozhia. That's crazy.
Shut up. Is Krakozhia a real country?
No.
Okay. Well, neither is Krakozhia. So, bleh. They all say it wrong. But anyway, so, like, there's that, and everyone's, like, real mean to him. Like, everyone's like, get out of the way! And, you know, like, people are just, like, being dicks to him. And I'm like, yeah, this is about right. We all suck. But then the movie's like, no, we're a happy movie. Because Michelle's watching parts of it. And she's like, is this, like, a comedy? Or is it... I'm like, I don't know what this movie is. It's very confusing. And then, right, it's happy-go-lucky. But then the movie ends in such a weird place. And honestly, I think the Catherine Zeta-Jones bits are awful. Like, the whole romantic subplot of this movie is the worst part easily. There's nothing good about it. All she says is, I'm sorry I can't. Oh, I'm sorry I can't. I'm a bad person. Oh, who are you, Victor Dvorsky? Are you a weirdo, or what's your deal? And it's like, the movie doesn't know what it wants to be with the love subplot, but with all the other subplots, it's, like, kind of clear. And yeah, I think so tonally it's weird. So like there was a point like an hour in, I'm like, it's actually not too bad. How much is left? An hour, 10 minutes. And I'm like, oh, where is this going? And it goes nowhere. I think a lot of what you're talking about, Nando, is like the last half of the movie. It's just like, it doesn't go anywhere and nothing happens. But this could have been a tight 90 and been like a solid movie, but it's not. So I kind of land on the more, this movie like wasn't that good side of things.
I think you're both crazy thinking Catherine Zeta-Jones isn't good in this movie.
Horrible.
I don't know if she's bad, but her like character and subplot, like the romantic subplot, are awful.
She delivers the worst line of the movie by far, and everything she's doing is just this really not muttering, that's the word, just like walking around in a circle kind of character that has nothing to do. She's just there to be there every so often and then leave. But like, yeah, she doesn't, the subplot doesn't go anywhere. She doesn't develop in any interesting way. And I think her character is really not good. And
there's no resolution. Like, there's just no resolution to their...
The resolution is women can't be trusted to, you know, have a good life on their own. They're always going to fall back to that monster.
I think it's more about the kind of, you know, fleeting connection you have with people sometimes, where you have this, like, you know, they have this, like, small romance, but, you know, he's going back to Krakozhia eventually. She's a flight attendant. She has in this, like, long-term on and off relationship with this married man she kind of can't get away from. And, like, yeah, she kind of understands more about what's bad about that, but at the same time, she has trouble getting out of her patterns, and, you know, he's going home. I don't know. I like that as that kind of ships in the night sort of thing.
See, I'd buy it if at the end of the movie she was not with that guy, but also not with Victor, and it was just like, oh, she got better. She, like, this experience helped her develop as a person and see her own self-worth or something like that. But it's like, nah, she's back with him. She can't stay away from that old guy. So,
and like,
to be fair, it's somewhat implied that she got back together with him for now just to help Victor.
I mean, yeah, but still, as a thing that the movie chose to do, didn't have to do that. She could have just, someone else could have given it to her. Stanley Tucci could have given him that passport, and she could have left him anyway. The movie goes out of its way to, like, have her back with the guy at the end. And I thought that was an insane choice.
And, like, also, like they had the one line, the one guy that says, the security guard or whatever is like, you can't trust these flight attendants. The time zones make them all horny and crazy.
Okay.
Like,
everything his friends say about women is insane. That's true.
Well, just like, how is she not at the jazz club at the end of the movie? Like, it's insane that the movie has that one, like, it's because it's so unrealistic, the whole movie. And that's fine, but then it decides to be realistic with her and like have consequences for her for some reason. Really, really weird. But also, I don't think she was very good in it.
Yeah, no, like, hard agreed. She was,
and I
like,
think
mediocre at best.
And I think she's good in other stuff. I like her in Zorro. I like her in, let's see what other movie she's been in. I don't know, Entrapment's fun, but yeah, did not care for this. Oof.
So,
Really?
yeah.
She was in, okay, hold on. I'm looking up her IMDb just to see what she's been up to. She was in Titanic, but not the 1997 movie, the 1996 two-part miniseries on CBS.
Oh.
What?
I thought you were going to say the
That's
Broadway musical.
Cool.
No, yeah, Tim Curry, Peter Gallagher, no, that's Kevon Smith, not Kevin Smith, but like, they made a Titanic thing the year before Titanic came out? Why? Did the rights to Titanic go into the public domain? What's happened?
I don't know. I mean, also, by coincidence, the Broadway musical came out the next year, the same time as the movie. They were not related. It was a pure coincidence.
Yeah.
It was the 75th anniversary No, that was 87. The 85th anniversary in 97? I don't know. Is that something?
I don't know. Like, maybe they like, when did they find the Titanic underwater? Did that happen in like the 90s? And then everybody was like, oh, we got to hear more about this Titanic thing.
That's a great question.
Because, like, it feels so strange. But yeah,
that is weird.
She's in that. Chicago, I guess. Did she get an Oscar for that? Probably. People like that.
Does she have an Oscar?
What's she from? What do most people know Catherine Zeta-Jones from?
Ooh.
Is it Chicago?
Maybe?
I think it might be. I'm surprised. I didn't.
The wreck of the
there was something else.
was found in 1985.
Oh, okay. So maybe that was what it was. Maybe that made people just go like, ooh, Titanic is cool. We gotta make stuff about it. But yeah, I don't know. She's
like, I couldn't point to anything and be
for.
like, yeah, she's a great, you know.
The Terminal.
I think it's Chicago and Zorro are probably what most people know her from. And they're both fun. I mean, I guess I'm not a huge fan of Chicago, but like, it's good. People like it, and Zorro's great. But yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised there's not some big fancy prestige, movie that she won an Oscar for that kind of got her all this clout.
I mean,
that
Chicago
got
won
her
an Oscar,
to
didn't
Chicago. Sure, yeah, but that's like, by that point she'd already made Zorro and I don't know, a bunch of other stuff. Is she a good actor?
I don't think she's
so.
bad.
She always seemed like a good actor to me, but maybe it's just because she has a fancy name.
You think we're all being
fancy names? That
we're
helps.
all being tricked?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I don't know who this stands out there being like, yeah, Catherine Zeta-Jones is the best. So, I don't know.
Yeah,
My grandma
she was in
big on
like
her for a while.
Did she have something specific?
I don't recall
like-
personally.
Yeah. I guess she was in, like I said, she was in Entrapment, very sexy movie where she does the laser thing with Sean Connery. She was in Zorro. Those are both late 90s. And then, yeah, Chicago 2002.
She did win an Oscar for Chicago.
Yeah. So I guess then she had a lot of, like, kind of,
She was in Ocean's 12.
yeah, like, the worst one.
I feel like once you win an Oscar early in your career, that like sets you up.
I guess so.
You are good to go.
You can just do, movies like this forever. She's like Rock of Ages. That was fine. And then she's in the new Wednesday show as Morticia.
Oh, that's fun.
So it looks
I
right.
do think
Good
you're
look.
right, Nando, where it's like a like she's a what'd you say, Jennifer Aniston type. I very much think in this movie that's what she's playing.
Yeah, and maybe it has something to do with her kind of trying to do a voice. This performance just really flat for me.
Oh, she was in High Fidelity. I forgot about that.
Is she the main person in that?
Well,
I guess there's a couple
John Cusack
girlfriends.
is the main person.
Yeah, but is she like I feel like
She's one of the
guess
girlfriends.
she's in there. Yeah, I can't remember where she ends up in that. So when I think about that movie, I think about him and Lisa Bonet. But I guess she is in there. But anyway, yeah. So this movie, It's weird. Did either of you guys read the true story stuff? What actually happened to this guy?
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah, I did.
So, do you want to... I feel like we need that first, kind of. Diggins, you want to tell the story of that guy? Whatever his name is?
Yes.
Sir Adam, I think, or Sir Arthur, was it what they called him?
That's absolutely not his name, but...
so, it's not his name,
it
but
is something
he went, like I said, he went crazy, and
right,
he decided that was his name. Yeah.
So, his name was... I apologize if I butcher this. I don't know Iranian very well. Or Farsi is the actual name for it. Mehran Karimi Nasseri, although later in life he insisted on being called Sir Alfred Mehran. He was an Iranian refugee who, on his way to the UK, where he had like asylum papers to go to, he had a layover in Paris where he lost to all his papers. So when he arrived in the UK, they were like, well, you don't have your papers, so we can't let you in. So he got sent back to Paris, where they were like, well, you legally arrived in this country, so we can't, like, deport you. But you no longer have your documentation, so we also can't let you in. So he just kind of, like, because of a loophole, ended up having to stay in Charles de Gaulle's terminal. They ended up being there for, like, 18 years or some crazy amount of time. But as I alluded to earlier, he really didn't have to stay that long. It didn't take long before the Belgian government, where like the UN refugee thing is based in Brussels, they were like, hey, if you come, you can come here and like we'll give you new paperwork and then you can, move on with your life. And he was like, no. France and Belgium both offered him residency so that he could leave the airport and, like live somewhere instead of in the airport. He said no to that. Like, he had options, but like Nando said, he kind of went a little crazy. And I think even when people interviewed his family, they were basically like, yeah, he's where he wants to be, I guess.
Wow, that's horrible. Oh my god, what a slap in the face.
Well, it's weird because it isn't like this movie where he makes a lot of friends and everyone loves him. I can't imagine based off what I've heard this guy described and like his situation. So it is like, what's he doing there? Like, what is this? What is the story of his life? Is he just somebody who, like I said, can never go to sleep and then is driven to madness? And, because, I don't know. It's really weird.
Oh, actually, the thing about when France and Belgium offered him residency, he refused to sign them because they did not list his name as Sir Alfred Mehran, which, again, was a name he made up and was not his name.
I love it.
Ugh.
I love it.
Bizarre.
Oh, what a weird dude.
Yeah, I mean, legally was not his name. Sure, you can decide. You can change your name. That's fine. But if you're going to sign a legal document, you got to go through some legal processes to make that happen.
No, you're right, Diggins. It's not his name. You are the thing on your birth certificate, and that's what you are for life, and you can't change that, right?
Yep, that's exactly what I believe. And also, Harry Potter is a good series.
Yeah. This movie, everybody in this movie would love Harry Potter. They could be big Potterheads.
Nando, do you think the real life guy, Sir Alfred, was a smelly person?
Absolutely. Oh my god. I'm sure he smelled awful, right? I mean, maybe Belgium's one of the ones with showers, but like, I don't think.
Well, he wasn't in Belgium. He was in Paris. He was in Charles de Gaulle Airport. Belgium is just the country that has like the UN's refugee program, which he had gotten his papers through initially. So they were like, yeah, you can come here and get that sorted out, or you can come live here. It's fine.
Right, yeah. So I feel like then he'd be like, yeah, he must have smelled awful. And I feel like that is the weirdest part of the whole thing to me. And it's the
how
part...
How smelly he would have been?
How smelly he would have been, yeah. How smelly the main guy would have been, and how smelly the real guy must have been.
Well,
and
a lot of people don't know this, Nando. Eastern Europeans do not have a natural smell.
Yeah.
Oh. Is that why they don't bathe?
That's right.
Wow, okay.
No.
I mean, I do feel like there is something to... I think that is something, for me, that would immediately... That's my... I guess, like, if he was covered in dirt, that would also be like, something's up with this guy. But it smells the first scent. Like, it's the first kind of thing my brain goes, like, oh, something's going on. What's going on here? Like, this dude has not bathed in months. And not to say that makes him a bad person, but he could not fool people in this movie into thinking he is. No one would believe that he's just, just some businessman.
Well, what are you, a smelly, what are you selling?
A smellist?
I don't know.
A scentist?
I don't know, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That was awful.
Listen.
Can we cut that part out?
No, absolutely not. Listen, man, until we invent the smell-o-vision, we're just never going to be able to experience that dimension of this movie.
Yeah. I feel like we've seen some movies recently where people in the movie smelled, right? Like Alec Baldwin in Cat in the Hat. His character smelled. And he was pulling off a con, and it was like, I don't think this works. But maybe he has like really shitty, like perfume or whatever.
Well, he's also like magic, so maybe he just has like a magic smell.
Alec Baldwin's character?
In Cat in the Hat? Yeah.
How is he magic?
He's magic?
I got Mike Myers and Alec Baldwin confused for reasons
He probably had a smell too.
My brain doesn't work good, guys.
I'm thinking Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin was like, he had like a dirty, like, undershirt on and big gut. And
by the end, he was clearly smelly.
Oh, yeah, and he was covered in goo by the end, but yeah. I did at the movie, I was like, he's got to just be covered in crappy cologne. I do feel like that's what this guy was. Victor, not the real person, but like he was just, everybody was like, man, that's some strong cologne, and nobody knew. But back in the 2000s, that's something that people would do. Men, I feel like, would do cologne. Like, thought that was, like a normal, workable solution.
Maybe that's how he did it. Maybe Victor used his incredible wealth being a $19 an hour contractor to buy a lot of perfume to hide the scent.
Right, or like Axe body spray or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
We have a wheel, though.
We do have a wheel. We have a wheel.
Yeah.
So I'm going to spin the wheel, and we're going to talk about some things, specific things about the movie. I spun it. It landed on this one. From 0 to Racist in 60 seconds. This is TJ's or no, Diggins. Well, suggested by both.
It feels like it's all of ours in spirit.
Yeah.
Well,
so,
I'll let Diggins go.
Let's talk about not just how this movie deals with his race, because obviously that's a disaster, but just, race in general. In a post 9/11 world, which I think is very important.
So we open the movie with a bunch of different scenes of like people going through airport security, talking to border guards, being like, what is the reason for your visit? Business or pleasure? By the way, I've never been asked that specific question, business or pleasure, going through an airport.
Same.
I don't know.
What are you doing?
I don't know if that's like a movie myth or if it's something that used to happen, but I'm too young to know about it or what. I have been asked what is the purpose of your visit, but never business or pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Weird. Anyway, we're going through that. We see the security guys. We go to Stanley Tucci in his like control room where he oversees all the security because he's like a head guy of security here, but he's not the head guy of the CBP because that's the job he wants. I'm not entirely certain in what way his position is not the head position.
The other one's like the field director, which just sounds better. He'd be the field director.
I guess. Maybe it's less day-to-day stuff and more, big picture things.
You could afford a boat with a government job.
Yeah.
Well, again,
Big old
I got things to say about things that are implied about his pay in this movie. Anyway. So he's like scanning all the security cameras and he sees a bunch of tourists from China who have a bunch of Mickey Mouse sweaters on, and he makes the brilliant logical deduction. You ever seen a bunch of Chinese tourists without cameras? They're, I don't know, terrorists, illegal aliens? I don't know what he thinks they are, but whatever it is, it's worthy of being arrested.
I think they're human trafficked or something like that. I think that's the answer.
But they're like running away. They don't want to be caught. If they were human trafficked, they'd be like, thank God someone noticed, right?
Oh, like they're doing the trafficking.
I think not human. Well, yeah, they're being like transported across a border illegally, but on purpose, I think, or something like that.
Well, that would make them illegal aliens.
Sure. Yeah. So that.
I guess, but it's like such a stupid logic that he uses to deduce that. It's like, what if one of them just has their camera in their suitcase? Because they're in an airport. Right? Why would it be out? And why are you super racist? Maybe they're just a bunch of people who aren't super big on cameras and just like experiences. They don't need pictures. What's the idea?
No, but they're Chinese, so they have to need cameras.
Is he like, they don't have big glasses and buck teeth? They're probably not even Chinese. Like, what are you thinking here, Stanley Tucci? And anyway, that's the first. That's the first racist thing that happens in the movie, and it's in the first minute.
Yeah,
it's weird.
We established we hate immigrants, and this is the only character Nando liked.
I think he's the only character that fully worked in the movie. I did like him. There were moments when I liked him.
About Nando. Nando thinks that it's good when border guards are racist.
Absolutely. I think the rule should be followed completely, unless...
Thin blue line. He's saying that every warm-up, guys. They're just talking about the thin blue line.
I do think Stanley Tucci is a good actor, obviously, but, is good at this. He's the only actor... I don't know if that's true, but he's the third lead in this movie, and he's the only one that's doing what he usually does, and I think that really makes him look like he knows what he's doing, as opposed to everyone else who's trying out something new. And, he's crushing it. But yeah, it's weird. I don't know. Is this how we all acted it after 9/11?
Maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Basically.
Right? Do you think, it would have been much worse if it were,
frankly...
some sort of, Middle Eastern tourists or something.
I was going to say, frankly, it's toned down because every time he sees a brown-skinned person, he's not like, tag him and bag him, boys.
Yeah. It's very strange. And it's weird too because like we said, the actual guy, where do we say he was from? The real person this is based on? Iran?
He's from Iran, yeah.
Yeah. So that's interesting that they kind of decided to have Tom Hanks play him as just kind of any Tom Hanks character, like I said, with a Borat accent.
Well, it was 2004, Nando. The American people would never accept a Middle Eastern hero.
Right, yeah, especially an airport hero. We would have never accepted that.
Yeah, the Bush government would have shut that down immediately as soon as it entered production.
That's fair. Yeah, what's the most racist thing in this movie?
God, it might be that.
There's one line where it's when they're gonna let Victor go at 12 o'clock. They're like, the guards are gonna walk away, blah blah. And he's not going, and he started kneeling, and they're like, oh, wait, do they pray at 12 o'clock? Is that a thing they do?
Oh, yeah, that was bad.
That was good. Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty bad. That was probably the worst thing.
I don't know why, and I'm sure we'll talk about our subject of StepTomber, but I did wonder why, for the premise of this movie, they made him, be Borat. I was thinking, could they have done, I don't know. Could Tom Hanks... could this situation have happened to a Tom Hanks where he doesn't have to, talk like the biggest stereotype you've ever heard of?
See, I think part of the reason they made him Eastern European is because it's different enough from what we are, generally aware of in our cultural experience as Americans, where we can be funny foreigner. But he still is white to us, so that nobody feels like they're being too racist.
And it's a place he has to have an accent that is similar to a place that would have a coup, and we as the audience would buy that.
Right.
So right. I don't think they could make him Australian and then just be he's from an island off the coast of Australia. They had a military coup the other day. But also he can't speak English either, so it has to be some other language. So really this is the only option unless you want to make him French, but then it's where's the other acts? Where are the translators? People should know how to speak that language.
Yeah, I guess it does check all the boxes where it has to be an obscure country. But they could have I don't know, made up anything. It's he's from an obscure island in Iceland.
He's an island in Iceland, the island country.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, here we go. Ready? So you change it. He's from a place that was swallowed up by climate change. He's from a small island that doesn't exist anymore because of climate change.
I cannot emphasize enough that, again, these were the Bush years. If you mention climate change, that's straight out.
Yeah.
Obviously you can't do this version of the movie, but I feel like the version of the movie that makes the most sense is one where Tom Hanks is American and we had a military coup and he's stuck in the Krakozhia airport or something like that.
Well,
I love that.
That would make a lot of sense if it was set today.
Yeah, I don't know if the Krakozhia airport would be this very eclectic melting pot that the JFK airport is. It would probably just be a bunch of Tom Hanks characters doing that silly accent. Since it's not a real place, but also they would make it vaguely, foreign. I guess you could do it anywhere, though. You could have him be in, Beijing. You could have him be in any country where he doesn't speak the language.
Isn't that just lost in translation?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but yeah. It's got a weird. Why do we think? Where does Tom Hanks's accent start? When does he decide that's something he can do and get away with?
Well, do you guys?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Do you guys know what language he is speaking in this movie? And furthermore, why it is the language he is speaking?
I wanted to have both those questions answered, so could you enlighten me, good
my
sir?
guess is Russian, just because it's a language.
Okay. Well, give me a guess, DJ. Just give me a guess.
Lithuanian.
I think technically, geographically, Nando is closer.
Damn.
But I feel like I want to
everything.
give points to DJ for recognizing that it's not Russian, the obvious guess.
Woohoo!
It is, in fact,
so like
he is speaking Bulgarian.
where Borat is from.
No, incorrect.
I mean, he's not.
No.
But didn't they film it in Bulgaria?
I don't know. They might have. I
I
never
think
watched
they did.
Borat.
They either filmed it in Bulgaria or Romania, and the people from there were like, "Wait a second, why are you doing? Just film it in Kazakhstan." And then they wouldn't let us, so we decided to do something else. But yeah,
Do you know
why did he
chose
do that?
Bulgarian. Any guesses?
Is he
Did
from
he
there?
already know it?
You're close.
He was learning it for a different role?
His wife's Bulgarian.
Yes, that one. Well, she's half Bulgarian and speaks the language fluently, so he just had her help him learn it.
Oh no, that makes
Should have put
sense.
her in the movie.
Yeah.
Well, then again, DJ, the Bush years, the romance with Catherine Zeta-Jones wouldn't have flown at all.
That's true.
There's like a way for the romance to be like, there's another foreigner trapped in the airport.
There's just someone in some other country that had a military coup that's also stuck here, and he's like, let me show you Europe. Yes, stuck in airport.
Yo, that's a movie.
I mean, it makes sense, right? Why wouldn't there be more than one person from that country on that plane?
Well, the way they set up this whole story, it would be much more possible to happen than the real story, because they kind of just think, they're just like, well, asylum claims don't exist.
Right.
I mean, at first. Later on, he does bring up that asylum claims exist, but he explains it poorly to Victor, and then when Victor doesn't understand what he's saying, he's like, never mind, this will never work.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm looking it up now.
If it was that situation, then yeah, I guess this would happen again, because that is a much larger legal loophole than the real one.
There's a lot of things, and I think we might have a wheel slice dedicated to the kind of bullshit.
Yeah, that's true. We will get to that. I do have a list of movies Tom Hanks has been in. I'm going through it. I'm trying to find accents that aren't just kind of Southern. This might be the first one. The Lady Killers comes out a year before this, or in the same year, but maybe earlier.
I'm not super familiar with Lady Killers, but I have heard that is a movie where he makes absolutely wild accent choices.
Yeah, I remember the trailer. He's doing like a Colonel Sanders kind of thing. But yeah, you've got a lot of other movies like Catch Me If You Can, or there was another one on here. I forget it. Like Apollo 13, where he's not doing like full Tom Hanks, but he's doing, or like Forrest Gump, I guess is an accent. But like, yeah, he usually sticks to Southern. And this is the first time he does like an actual non-American accent.
And like, how did they arrive there? Was Spielberg like, all right, Tom, so here's the script. You're going to be from Krakozhia. It's a Russia border country. Just give it your best shot, Eastern European accent, and you're learning English for the first time. So, go for it. Okay, like this, Mr. Spielberg? Yeah, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to talk like this and just sound like a Rocky and Bullwinkle stereotype for the next 9 months while we film. Yeah, sound good.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's just and it's funny that it turns out his wife does speak that language, and that's where he got it from.
Yeah.
Because it does feel like someone who's just watched movies and kind of knows like how characters in movies talk sometimes. And knows how like Borat talks. And Borat existed in the world. Like, it wasn't the movie, but the Ali G show was going in like the late 90s, early 2000s. So like, I honestly wouldn't be shocked if this was somehow influenced by Sacha Baron Cohen's Borat.
I mean, I would be a little surprised by that. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, Tom Hanks is a good actor, right? So, I don't know. He must have been
yeah.
yes.
I don't think he
Moose and Squirrel.
I don't think he did that on purpose, but I don't know. I think that's probably, I wouldn't be shocked if that like made its way into his brain. Although who knows?
I feel like James Bond is almost more likely than Borat, right? Like, oh yeah, I'll sound like a Bond villain.
Yeah, I guess it's the thing about it that reminds me of Borat is the umming and awing that he does, like that.
That is so weird.
I'm from Krakozhia. Like that's the part I think that feels very Borat to me. But yeah, I don't know. Doesn't seem like he's got any other movies coming out with accents in the future. But these really are the big three. The three that we did, plus Forrest Gump, obviously. But, like, it's not something he's done too much else that I can find, at least, which is interesting.
I mean, he should stay away because in every movie where he does an accent like this, the results are medium bad to really bad. So he should not do these.
Plus the Terminal, which is kind of good.
I mean, the accent's bad. The accent's not convincing, and it's just mostly distracting. But also, we'll spin the wheel again. It landed on this one, foreign but also stupid. Diggins. What is that all about? Like, I guess this might be what makes the accent bad.
Yeah, so the thing about it is, like, a large part of this movie is that, he doesn't speak English. Like, he barely knows any. Doesn't understand what people are saying to him. Over the course of the movie, he learns more and more. Because he does spend 9 months in an environment where only English is spoken, which, fair enough. But yeah, so, like, there's all these things where it's like people say things to him and he's like, yes? And, like, clearly doesn't know what they're talking about. And, fair enough. That doesn't make you stupid. You don't know the language. Like, I would seem clueless if I was in a country where I didn't know the language. The part the thing is, though, there's a lot of things that happen and that he does that have nothing to do with his language comprehension and everything to do with him apparently just not being very smart. Like,
give me a couple.
Well, when he's like trying to get a job and he's like going like, oh yes, I have phone number, and like goes to get the like payphone number of the airport, he walks, slams into a glass window. Just absolutely beeps it. Like he's a bird. Mm-hmm. Like they don't have glass in Krakozhia, so he's unfamiliar with the concept. Like,
I love that. I love that so much.
It's weird too. I think in general he walks weird. There's a bunch of times when he's running and he runs like a marionette, and it's like I think he's run before though, right? Like it wasn't just unfrozen or something. Although maybe that's what they run like in Krakozhia. Who knows?
And man goes on flight, gets frozen, winds up unfrozen years later, passport invalid.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing with, like, he goes to Zoe Saldana's queue every day to try and get... And to, like...
Yeah.
Sure, he doesn't understand the language and maybe doesn't fully comprehend the problem. I feel like at a certain point he would realize... Like, after, like, the second or third time, at most, he would be like, oh... There's some deeper problem with my paperwork that they were telling me that I didn't understand. I think that I can't just go through like this. But apparently he never learns that lesson.
Well, at one point he knows, right? Like, she asks him, and he's like, 50-50.
I guess maybe that's supposed... But see, that's the whole thing, though. It's like, it's supposed to be this... He's this good-hearted person who's, like, really nice... And that's sort of what wins him over. But it's that sort of infantilizing kind of sweetness where it comes from him being simple.
Yeah.
Right.
Where it's like, he's so good because he has a pure view of this world. He doesn't understand all the complexities of modern life. So it's Forrest Gumping. He's Forrest Gumping it.
Yeah.
Where it's like, Gumping. Good old Forrest Gump. His simple words cut right to the heart of the matter. There's wisdom in how dumb he is. And it's like, well... You understand how patronizing that is, right?
Yeah, we're not teaching radio. Radio's teaching us. Like, and it's so. And the thing about that really like drove me crazy is that line comes halfway through the movie from the airport boss guy. Who's like, maybe you can learn something from this Navorsky. And it's like, no, you would be the last person to say that. Well, why are you the wise mentor?
I have a real slice about that later, but we'll get to it.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, he is pretty dull. Although, to be fair, why don't they ever get an interpreter for him? They just give up after a couple days?
I was going to say that.
It's on the way, right?
Yeah, at the first scene, they're like, we need an interpreter. He's like, yeah, we're trying to get one on the way, but we don't have a lot of Krakozhian interpreters. Fair enough. I'm sure it's supposed to be a very small country, right?
Right.
What? So, like, why do you try to explain it to him and then send him off before the interpreter ever shows up? And apparently the interpreter just never shows up because we never see him talk to one.
Yeah, the crazy thing about 2004 is, like, we had phones. You could call somebody easily.
Yeah, they acted like it was 1986.
Yeah.
It was really weird how they were going about it.
Like, I do feel like there's so many moments, like the moment with the asylum where you're talking about, where, like, we're so far into the movie and it's still, like, a language barrier thing. And I'm not saying he needs to know the whole language, but I feel like they should have figured out that he doesn't know it yet and to come up with some solution.
Yeah, I feel like if in that scene also, Stanley Tucci is like, I gotta get this guy out of my airport. I have to, give him some kind of legal out so I can get him out without breaking the rules.
Oh my god.
But there's no like time limit on that. This isn't this guy just showed up and we need to explain things to him. This is, I'm going to set up this perfect event, like this perfect little meeting for me to get him to agree to claim asylum so he can leave.
Yeah.
And he doesn't invite an interpreter to that meeting?
No. Yeah.
You can make an appointment with that guy.
Yeah. He's free whenever.
I'm
but
sure.
Instead, they just speak slowly to him as if that's what it is. That's what he's missing.
Yeah. And that whole scene is also... I mean, there's a lot of things about that scene. One, Stanley Tucci claims that most asylum seekers never show up to their court date. Incorrect.
Oh my god.
The vast majority of them do show up.
So good.
Two, he gives up but while it is still clear that Victor does not really understand what he is saying, that it's like, you don't have to be like, Krakozhia is a bad place, blah, blah, blah. You just have to say, there's some violence there that I would prefer to not be around right now.
Yeah.
And you get to stay here for a little while. That's all. That's all you got to do. I don't know.
Yeah, I do feel like as stupid as he is, everybody around him is stupider. Like it's a fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me situation. Like Stanley Tucci. I mean, maybe he just is bad at this. Like he's good at like the racism stuff, but when it comes to like the actual management of the airport, he's not very good. But I don't know. But we spun the wheel again. Landed on one of yours, DJ. This one is The Spawn to End All Con. This movie is nothing but Spawn Con.
So I love it because it's kind of like the perfect setup, right? Because they get to build a fictional airport. So they just get to go to all the companies and be like, who would like to be featured in our movie? We're going to have a fast food scene. The bidding starts at $200 million. All right, we got McDonald's, Burger King. Yes, Burger King. You will be our featured. You'll get a whole minute in the movie where we get to show how tasty the Whopper is. Ooh.
But DJ, wasn't this filmed at a real airport? How could they have done that in a real airport? Weren't they just working with what was already there?
I think did they build a fake airport for this movie?
Absolutely. They did a fake airport wing at LAX or something like that.
I love it.
Yeah. So it's all the things like that seem like it's like, well, I guess that just is what was there. Not even close.
It was tailor-made for this, which is like chef's kiss. Like, I just love the blind corporate greed of like, oh no, it's an artistic thing. We just happen to be able to get all this money.
Yeah, it's like Sony. Like, I'm surprised. Wait, he did drive into... Did we see the Times Square at all in that last scene?
We did, yes.
We saw some Times Square space. Yeah, I think that's what this was. But... Yeah, who made this movie, now that I'm thinking about it? Was it Sony? I don't think so, right? Probably DreamWorks or one of Spielberg's companies at the time.
One of those guys, yeah.
But, yeah, like, easily could have been that. What was your favorite? Was everybody's favorite Spawn Con? There were a lot of them. DJ, since you came up with it, do you have a favorite?
Oh, Brookstone. Because it's so outdated and just like a dinosaur.
Brookstone?
I'm like, oh yeah, Brookstone. Yeah, like the bookstore. Or not the bookstore, the like technology store, like Sharper Image.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
I think that's what the lady goes, now you gotta be very punctual. Where are you? He's like, Gate 76. Did you say Gate 76? Or like whatever
Oh,
it was.
DJ. You poor simple fool.
67.
There
whatever.
you go.
Whatever.
There you go.
Well, there's also a Sharper Image line later in the movie, too, right? Doesn't someone try to give him the squishy thing as he's leaving? And he's like, this is from the Sharper Image.
Yeah. He tries to...
So they put them both in.
What is that one place that he's waiting for the call from? Is that a Discovery Zone? What is that?
Oh gosh, what was that?
Maybe.
I want to say no, but I couldn't tell you what it was.
I think Discovery Store was like a children's thing. So what was this?
Do I have to go pull this up and?
I don't want to. It's not a Best Buy, but I feel like it's something like that.
Yeah, like some kind of random tech store.
I think it was just called the Discovery Store, which is apparently an old British store chain.
Oh.
Look at that.
Interesting.
I love, by the way, speaking of the Gate 67, that he just found an abandoned gate in an airport.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Well, because of that friggin' New York construction, am I right? It's not going to do it for 10 months. Not doing Gate 67.
Yeah. What about you, Diggins? Did you have a favorite Spawn Con?
I'm torn. I'm going to say either Hugo Boss.
Yeah, it was rough.
Oh, great.
Or because he picked the least interesting looking suit out of all the ones he looked at.
Yeah. That first one looked fine on him. The second one was a little weird, but the first one was like...
You know what? I like the style of the second one. It was definitely the least traditional one, but I was like, it's a nice herringbone. I kind of like it. Mm-hmm. Or Payless, Sensible Heel.
Yeah, that one was rough.
Oh, fantastic.
Like, and that one was so... I mean, they were all... That was one of the things with this. They all just glorified all the content. It was all like, look at how wonderful this one is and that one is.
Well, it's funny because at the very beginning, the security guard, who is one of those character actors you see pop up in things, and you're like, oh, it's that guy, but I could not tell you his name.
Same. What is he from? Do we know? I want to look that up now, because I got to figure this out.
Let's find out.
It is... Chai McBride.
No. That was his friend.
No. Oh, you're right. He was also one, though, that I was like, I know that guy. You're thinking of Barry Shakaba Henley. And when you say security guard, I'm talking like the main cop guy.
Yeah. This is it. Barry Shabaka Henley.
Yeah.
He's who I'm talking about.
So he's been in some stuff. He's been in some Bosch.
He's in a lot of Michael Mann stuff.
Yeah. God. Is there anything I've ever seen with this guy in it?
He's in A Star Is Born. He's in Dolomite Is My Name, Nando. Come on.
Oh, is he?
Oh.
Yeah, he's
good for him.
Demond.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's someone that hangs out with Dolomite at some point, but...
There were a lot of people in that movie.
Yeah, I'm surprised. There's nothing this guy's making... He was in the first Rush Hour movie. Maybe he's like the main cop in Rush Hour. It's like... You gotta hang out with Jackie Chan. I don't know.
The point is, he's one of those guys where you're like, oh, it's that guy. Anyway.
Yeah.
He takes Victor out to the terminal, and Victor's like, what am I supposed to do? And he's like, the only thing you can do here, shop. Ugh. And it's like, a criticism. And it's like, no, the movie mostly thinks that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that part's dumb.
Yeah. So, yeah, just some glorious Spawn Con in this movie.
Yeah, it's not good. Airports are like that, though. They're weird little malls.
Oh, yeah.
I hate them.
They're weird little malls where they can jack up the prices because where else are you going to go?
Right, yep. Yeah. It would be a disaster to live in an airport. I think it's the worst place you could live. One of the worst places you could live that isn't, like, because it's gross.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it just,
Well, it's overpriced, but also you have everything you need kind of right nearby. I feel like there's places that wouldn't necessarily have easy access to at least one of things you would need on a basic survival level.
Yeah, that's true.
I just feel like the constant sound and light would just be grating.
Yeah, that part would drive, like, it would kill me.
This movie does posit a world in which, for the most part, JFK isn't doing anything at night, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Well, and you can remove the fuses to make your life easier,
right?
And nobody will go fix it because JFK's just like empty at night. Again, like no big international airport is empty ever.
Yeah. I also think one thing that so there's like food, right? Like he eats at Burger King, and then he eats the food from Cassian Andor gives him a bunch of food later on.
Yeah.
What about like medicine and stuff like that? He just doesn't get it for a while.
Well, that's the real guy, right?
Honestly,
gets sick or whatever.
Like if you get sick, it's just like I guess I have to die in the airport.
Yeah, you gotta hope that another Russian man with goat medicine comes through.
Oh yeah,
he can bump some pills off him.
That would be smart.
Boy.
Speaking of that, I spun the wheel again. It landed on U.S. law. Let's talk a little bit about the law in this movie.
Yeah, so Diggins mostly covered it. It's like kind of bananas how they posit like there's no other way for this to happen to Victor Navorsky except for this specific way. And it's like, no, there's definitely other things. The craziest one too is later Stanley Tucci's trying to off him to other government agencies, and you're telling me no government agency would be like, yeah, we'll take him, we'll put him in a fucking jail. He's like, he's my problem. No one else will take this political prison. Not even like just
like refugee kind of.
Refugee.
He could describe him that way.
Like, well, no one even with malintent will take him.
All of them were like, absolutely, we'll lock up some foreigner. What's his name?
Right.
Victor Navarsky. Wait. This guy white? I mean, yeah. Sorry, no, absolutely not. We can't. Think of the press. We can't take him. We can't throw him in Guantanamo Bay. Are you kidding? He's white.
Maybe that is true to form.
I mean, he is like. I do think. I wonder.
It's the Elvis scene. It's all the FBI agents or whatever, or Border Patrol or whoever you want are like. Sure, we can throw that foreigner in our jails. And then Stanley Tucci goes, he's white. And then, like, camera zooms in on their face, and they're like, he's white?
He's white?
Well, yeah, but that's, like, it's disappointing. It's like, he's white. He's white.
Yeah, it's the reverse, yeah.
Yeah. Is Victor Navarre, could they just kick him out of the airport? Can they just kick anyone out of an airport?
So the idea is he can't legally enter the country, in which case, like, yeah, they can't let him through the terminal, like, because you need to have a valid passport to go through there. It is true that if you do not have the correct papers to enter a country, they will not let you leave the airport into that country.
But, like, yes. So if he, like, lit the airport on fire, do they just go, well, I guess we got him. Well, he's here. We gotta keep him.
Well, then he's arrested, so, like, but that's what Stanley Tucci's trying to get him do at the start. He's trying to get him. He's telling him like, "Oh, there's not going to be any guards there. You could break through," because then it's like, well, then he broke the law. Someone arrests him. He's not our problem anymore.
Mm-hmm. Right, but just lie. Say he did that or something, and then trump up charges, throw him in jail. Like, what's stopping you from doing that, Stanley?
No. This movie posits a very specific type of man because the main cop does suggest that. He's like, just say that he tried to leave and just have him arrested. Who cares? And Stanley Tucci is like, I will never lie. I will never sully the good name of Customs and Border Protection or the Department of Homeland Security, two agencies with sterling reputations, by lying.
Right, and I do think that part of it did really bug me, because then you get to later in the movie, or even like a little bit later, but like the asylum part also kind of works that way, but not as much. But the part where he's like, you can leave if you want to, Victor. It's okay. And it's like, okay, but he's going to go to court and then be like, he told me I could go. And then what's he going to... you got me. I would never lie and destroy the virtue of the airport.
I won't perjure myself. Yeah, right?
Just lie. Or don't. But, yeah, it's really weird.
This weird middle ground of, you have to trick him. Because tricking isn't lying. It's...
Yeah, this works on, like, Sopranos rules of, like, you can't exactly say, go break the law. But, like, if he said that would obviously be bad. But he can get away with anything else.
And it's funny because, like, it probably would have worked if he wasn't spying on him to see if he did it. Because I feel like that's what makes Victor suspicious. It's just like, they really want me to leave. I probably shouldn't.
I mean, if you're Victor, because he is stupid, he wouldn't figure this out. But it does feel like you'd be like, I don't think this is going to work. Right? Like, if someone was like, just sneak into our country when the guards aren't there, it'll all be fine. Like, he really does treat him like he's a child with that whole thing. But, yeah, Victor, he's also pretty stupid.
To the point where later he just is baffled by Catherine Zeta-Jones. How could you love a man like that? And she's like, a man like you would never understand how I could love a man like that.
How could you love a man who's not American?
Yeah. Sure, he's white, but he's not white, you know?
He's not the best kind of
true white.
Yeah. Like, that, by the way, that's the line that killed me, her read on that.
I figured, yeah.
It's, and I think it's just because I do think Stanley Tucci is doing a pretty good job. Not maybe of, like, a character, but just of acting like a guy who's just at the end of his rope constantly. Like, I bought it. Again, this is why we need guys like him, and if this character was supposed to be slightly more slovenly, then it would be, Paul Giamatti. But, like, those guys are so good at this. that you can put him in any movie like this and they just nail it. And yeah, she was doing a weird Jennifer Aniston impression. So I think it was the both of those things clashed up against each other. And I was like, oh, he's killing it.
I have a question.
Typical Nando thinks the man is doing better than the woman. DJ, ask your question.
So I know it's a little past the SpawnCon, but kind of related. Did the U.S. government pay for any part of this movie
100%
to get that sweet shine? Yeah,
You'd
right.
have to. So I don't know though, because I could also see this being a movie written in post 9/11 government is cool haze. Let's bomb Iran
Especially Spielberg, right? He's like, ooh, maybe I get some contracts out of this.
Yeah, I mean, he's Terminal. It's gonna be tough. But he's done a lot of very pro-America, Saving Private Ryan kind of stuff, and those are more historical. But he's not the kind of director it seems like who would be critical in that way. At least not at this point in his life. Because even Catch Me If You Can, which should come out before this.
He was before this, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it's also pretty government is cool. Obviously, though, you should go to jail and then work for the government later because that is the best option for this poor kid.
It's. I wonder, how stoked the government gets when they're like, "Oh, we get free propaganda. Yeah, we're so cool." Also, they got to be the good guy at the end of the movie, where they're like, "Let him go."
Oh, I mean, yeah, I think the government is one thing, but then the cops are another thing. Where I feel like this movie had a very post 9/11 attitude towards law enforcement generally that was really upsetting. Not that I think we're better than that now, but just man,
if anything, we're worse.
Yeah. It's pretty weird. What else? Other law stuff that was weird. So he didn't have a social security number and stuff, so he couldn't get a job. He was paid under the table. That makes sense.
I mean,
they crushed that, by the way. I love that. They're like, we know how to get around this.
Yeah,
we'll make a Michelangelo and just get paid under the table.
Contracting in construction is notoriously rife with paying illegal immigrants under the table. In fact, I think that business would collapse without that source of labor.
It's true.
So it does make perfect sense as the thing he ends up doing as a job. Although the way he gets that job is baffling, where he just sees a thing set up to fix up a wall and is like, I might as well do this all night.
Yeah. Pretty weird.
He has every skill, by the way. If anything, I think Victor's a Mary Sue.
I mean, he definitely is, in that sense. He does have... He
can do everything.
He is both a little babe with no thoughts and, you can be tricked into doing anything. But, yeah, he can build a little, fancy water fountain, although it doesn't work. But he is also, incredibly charming all the time and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, does he have flaws? What are his character flaws? Too nice?
Foreign.
Yeah, foreign.
Huge knock against him as far as, most movies were concerned.
Doesn't speak English at the beginning. Mm-hmm. He only becomes better after he speaks English.
Trust Stanley Tucci in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it's a very Paddington-y kind of movie, a very static. But it's I guess the thing that makes it kind of, I don't know. For me, none of the side characters really work either. Some of the actors I like, and some of what they're doing is interesting. But I never feel I don't know. I mean, we'll get to it because the next thing on the wheel, because I just spun it, is Undershare. Let's talk about his buddies. His goons, his goon squad. We got Diego Luna, Cassian Andor.
Yep.
He looks the same, by the way. Exactly the same.
Yeah,
if you told me this was filmed yesterday, I'd buy it.
He looks a little
bit, yeah, perhaps. And then, so it's him, and what is his job? Some sort of food delivery man or something?
Yeah, food delivery.
I think he delivers, the in-flight meals to all the different planes.
Yeah. And then you've got Shia McBride's guy, who is from iRobot and stuff. And what was his job? Security guard or something?
I think just some kind of general logistics guy in the airport.
I think he worked for the airline. Yeah.
Oh.
No, I think
he drove the car. That's an airline thing.
But he was also doing stuff with the luggage. I feel like that's more of an airport thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe. That makes more sense. And then you've got Gupta,
who you forgot.
Yeah, and he is a janitor.
He's a janitor. I just want to say, the thing about Gupta's first appearance is he had swept up all the meal vouchers that Victor had, and because they can't communicate, they won't give them back or whatever. But it's treated as an encounter where it's like, oh, poor Victor who doesn't know English can't understand this guy being sarcastic. But what happens is he goes up to him and Gupta, the janitor, is like, do you have an appointment? No. Well, you can't talk to me to get trash without an appointment. And it's like, that's an insane thing for a janitor to be saying to you at all. Like, if I walked up to a janitor being like, hey, you threw out some important documents of mine, can I have them back? And he said that to me, I, the fluent English speaker, would be like, what are you talking about?
I also feel like Tom Hanks just goes, well, I guess I'm going to die then. Go back to Stanley Tucci and ask for more. Tell him what happened. He doesn't care. It's not like he has to pay for them out of pocket. It's just fucking meal vouchers. They give them out every time a flight is delayed. You can get 1 million of them if you want.
It's true.
They never get used. True. So, yeah, he's really tight on those.
Also, I love how he just breaks a stranger's suitcase, and it's just like, oh whoops,
God,
time to go on.
What's he deal? Like, what's his deal there?
But also, how brittle was that suitcase that just trying to close it broke it?
Again,
well, he is so strong.
He's Mary Sue. He's the world's strongest man. Yeah. That's why there was a coup, by the way, is because he wasn't there. He would have stopped him.
Oh, that's
until Victor left the country.
He does never say what his job back home was. Maybe it was coup preventer. Yeah. And that's why he was so upset when he found out about the coup. He was like, no, the one vacation I've ever taken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a so those are the friends. Gupta is terrible, right? They're all none are all terrible. I think
they're
Gupta
all
has maybe the worst
women.
Arc in the story, but yeah, he is.
Well,
the way they all treat women is insane.
At first, I thought Gupta was a bad guy because he's kind of a jerk to Victor. He doesn't trust him, thinks he's a spy. But then later, I find out why Gupta's in America, and I'm like, this guy's good, actually.
That's true.
He has an amazing face turn at the end. It's incredible.
It's insane. Like, it's the most important thing that happens in this movie. And the movie doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't really acknowledge how insane it is. But, yeah, so what is Gupta's story? What is his secret backstory?
So he's from India, where he had a wife and kids, I think. And he had a tobacco store that he ran. But a corrupt cop came in to shake him down for protection money and did it every day for like 5 days. And on the 5th day, Gupta had enough and stabbed him. And then he was like, I gotta get out of the country before I get arrested for stabbing a cop. And he's been in America ever since.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Gupta's the main man.
But he is, they're all weird. The underwear thing's really weird.
Yeah.
What are they going to do with that underwear?
Why Cher?
Why Cher, indeed? She's not, I mean, maybe she was back in 2004. Like, at that point, I'd be like, I think I got to sell this online, but I don't think anybody's going to believe me. But like,
you don't have documentation.
Yeah, no, she was on a plane with me. Some people can swear it's her underwear. What happened to Cher during that flight, by the way?
Yeah, it wasn't even on the flight. It was in the lounge, right? What happened in that lounge?
So just so we're clear for the listeners, the part of the movie is that some of the workers, Victor's friends, have like an underground like poker ring, but they don't gamble with money. They gamble with items they find in Lost and Found, and one of the things was Cher's panties.
And by the way, it's things they found in Lost and Found, but Victor's like, well, I don't have any of those. And they're like, it's fine. It's not how it works. Like,
we'll spot you. Yeah, right.
Like, that's not how poker works. Then you're not betting with anything. What are you I raise you, Cher's panties. It's that they put the panties on the table and everyone does a round of poker. There's no bluffing. You can't bluff with it. Nobody has them. So it's weird. I don't know. I feel like movies a lot of the time use poker as an answer for this, but they don't know what poker is. Yeah.
I raise you a giant marlin.
Yeah, exactly.
And, I raise you.
And what happened to that marlin? Someone forgot it?
I guess.
I wonder if it's just like unclaimed luggage stuff, right?
Probably
that's like
that.
I'm surprised that's what they didn't say, like unclaimed luggage. They said lost and found.
Yeah.
This is all the unclaimed luggage stuff.
I guess I could see someone getting that as a gift and then putting it on the plane as waving to the guy and be like, just fucking throw this out. I don't give a shit. I don't need this, to the airport guy, because what are you going to do with the big plastic marlin thing? And Victor has that the whole time.
Right.
But he doesn't bring it with him. What happens to that marlin?
He tries to give it to Stanley Tucci as a mea culpa.
Yeah.
Stanley Tucci's like, fuck you.
But then he takes it back. Did you just throw it away?
Maybe it's hanging up in Terminal 67 and we just never see... Or Gate 67.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
That would have been good closure. Oh my gosh. This movie did not know how to conclude or tie things together.
It just kind of ends. But yeah, so the guys, Diego Luna is like the first one that meets him and like befriends him. Why does he do that?
He's just a nice guy. Or like, what's his ulterior motive?
Yeah, what's his ulterior motive, or his just motive in general?
He wants to marry a woman he's never spoken to.
To be fair, she's pretty, and he's seen her from far away. So
to be fair, at first it's not marriage. He's just like, I have a crush on this woman, and I want you to find some things out about her for me, which is weird, but within the realm of reason.
Yeah. And I think this is kind of some of the other problem with the Terminal. We don't really see what happens with them. Because, we go from, like, he asks her, like, oh, do you watch TV? And whatever. And then, by the way, what does she say to that? She says no, right?
Well, he asks her if she, like, goes to concerts. And she's like, no, I'm really into concerts.
Oh.
I go to conventions. And then Diego Luna is all happy because she's a Trekkie. Which is funny because this is before she was cast as Uhura in the remake.
Mm-hmm. And before he was cast as Cassian Andor, so now they're like star-crossed lovers. They could never be in love. Yeah, it's true. But yeah, so we do that one. Finds out she's a Trekkie. Then I think he finds out the boyfriend cheated on her.
Mm-hmm.
He cheat.
Yep, that's the whole thing. Adorable. And then
it's funny because when he says cheat, it sounds like shit.
Oh my god, I know
the whole time. I know the whole time he was saying, like, eat shit. Like, she told him to eat shit.
That's the joke,
eat
DJ,
shit.
is that it sounds like that's what he's saying.
See, I thought it was just he shit, and then the guy...
Yeah, no. I thought it was eat shit.
Oh.
Not he shit.
That's probably what it was. Yeah.
No, I think it was he... I think you're right. I think it was he shit.
Either way, Cassian, use your brain. Use context clues. It's that one.
Oh, yeah.
Or he's shitty. It's the same thing. Whatever. But then the next thing... You remember the next question he asks her?
He has... So, this is what I'm confused about. I will describe what happens, and then I will tell you of my confusion. So, the next thing that happens is, in this subplot, is that Diego Luna asks him to give her something, and tell her something, and it turns out what he gives her is an engagement ring, and he says that... Yep. Diego Luna will be waiting at the Sbarro, which is very funny.
How much did that cost? $100 million?
Actually, yeah. Meet me at the Sbarro might be my favorite product placement. Now that I think about it,
that is the best product placement. You're 100%
right. Which she does, and she does the Spock hand sign, and then turns her hand around and reveals she's wearing the ring. Here's my question: there is a huge gap in these events in the movie. Like, that stuff happened, the stuff we had all mentioned before happens relatively early on, and then this happens towards the end. Have they, been actually dating in that time? Or has this all been entirely through the medium of Tom Hanks?
I thought it was that.
I hope so.
That was their first... Because whilst meet me at the Sbarro, right? We're meeting for the first time, right?
Well, no, because I do think you guys have kind of forgotten. Or is that... What does he say to her when he gives her the ring?
He's just like, we'll be waiting at Sbarro for Enzo.
Okay, so there's one in between that, where he asks her, do you marry for money or for love?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that does happen.
I think, comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. It's amazing to me that when she hears him say that to her, she's like, who put you up to this? Not... this weird man is stalking me.
Yeah.
It's crazy that she intuits what it turns out to be the correct answer, instead of the thing it really seems like.
And also, at one point earlier in their interactions, Tom Hanks was like, I have a friend, he drives food truck around. And so, I guess she wasn't paying attention, but that, she knows. She should know.
Right? Unless, she was tuned in on the whole time, that's how she intuited it, and she knew it was Diego Luna, and so that's why she was, okay with this whole thing. Maybe she was paying attention the whole time.
He does tend to watch her, because we see him watching her before he asks Victor to help him. So, I don't know, maybe they have been dating? I don't know.
Is she like a cop?
No, I just think she knows what's going on. She's sorry, Diggins, go ahead.
She's like, I don't know exactly what you call them. Those guys who, ask you if you have anything to declare and then stamp you through customs. She's one of those people.
But she gets a gun?
Yeah, all the boys and girls in blue get guns. Come on, Nando.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess there's something to their
You never know when someone's going to be smuggling cocaine in their walnuts.
Or a bunch of Chinese people in their Winnie the Pooh, or not Winnie the Pooh, what is it? Mickey Mouse shirts. Yeah. I do think there's a point. Their relationship is weird to me because she seems like she's probably got it together, right? More than Andor. Like, this guy who's hanging out with the weird guy from the, it's movies like this where I'm like, people could just date in the real world. It feels so strange. That it's
I don't know, Nando. You might have your perspective skewed by being handsome and charming. The sickos of the world like me, we got to resort to tactics like this.
You and Diego Luna, that disgusting heap of a man.
Well, Nando, that's because this is a movie, and we cannot in good conscience let the American people see Uggos. He is clearly meant to represent someone less attractive than Diego Luna.
That makes sense. It does feel like, too, the movie goes out of its way, in this bit and later when he's wooing Catherine Zeta-Jones, to have lots of lots of moments of like using airport powers to do things. These men have command over the airport, and they use that to get the women they want to fall in love with them. And yeah, it's very strange. I do think they have to have gone on at least 1 or 2 dates, right?
I hope so.
I don't think so. I really think they're meeting for the first time at the Subaru.
The thing is, like, I can really see it either way in the movie. So you could be right. I hope not, because that's wild.
Right.
I think it is funny, too, that's the first thing we meet that character doing, right? Is like he's falling in love with her and stuff or whatever. And then the next thing we meet him doing is the sheriff's panties thing.
Oh.
Weird.
Yeah.
A little weird. That'd be funny if like Tom Hanks does like, by the way, he has your panties for you from Cher or something. Just fuck the whole thing up.
I really thought he was
You are Cher? Are these your underwear?
I thought he was going to try to give them to Catherine Zeta-Jones as a gift. Be like, you're this good for sharing. Or something.
Yeah. Oh, God. That would have been amazing.
But the Cher's panties never come up again.
Yeah, wasted.
It's just in there for the sickos.
Yep. All right, spin a little again. Land on one of yours, Diggins. The most unrealistic thing in the movie.
All right.
What is that?
So, there's a scene, roughly the midpoint, where while Stanley Tucci is showing his superiors around, trying to get angle for that promotion, there's an incident where a Russian guy who brought in some medicine for his dad is like making a scene because they're trying to take the medicine away because he doesn't have the proper paperwork for it. And and the Russian translator's not there. Not an uncommon language. Kind of crazy that the Russian translator isn't around, but whatever.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Like the Krakozhian translator, I get it. Not a common language, but whatever. So he enlists Victor to help him because Bulgarian and Russian are basically the same language, right?
Yeah, totally.
Or Krakozhian. By the way, we do see Krakozhia on a map, and it is in the same place as North Macedon, which is not very close to Russia at all. So really, there's all kinds of ways this doesn't work, but who cares? So Victor can translate because all languages that aren't English are the same. And they have a back and forth. He explains the situation to him. The guy is crushed and is getting taken away. But then Victor obliquely lets him know that if he says the medicine's for a goat, he gets to keep it, which all happens. I mean, I feel like if I was these agents, I'd be like, you obviously just told him to say that. That's not what this is. We're going to take it anyway. But whatever. Stanley Tucci abides strictly by the letter of the law, no matter how obvious. He refuses to let his judgment enter the equation at all.
Yep.
And Victor knows this because he's like a master of forms.
Yeah, he's filled out the form like 7 or 8 times.
That's not the most unrealistic thing in the movie, though. None of that. The most unrealistic thing in the movie is that when this happens, Stanley Tucci gets really mad at Victor for helping this guy skirt the law. And he, like, slams him against a printer and is yelling, like, pretty insulting stuff about Krakozhia as a country and insinuating that it's poor and, like a third world country, yelling some stuff. And all the other CBP agents around him kind of look at him in shock. And his mentor figure, like, slowly shakes his head and walks away.
Yeah.
And they're all ashamed. And there's absolutely no universe in which a group of people who willingly work for Customs and Border Protection would be upset about him being racist.
I could
Facts.
see them doing the head shake and going, he's white. How dare you treat him like a not white? I get it, he's from somewhere else, but remember you're whites and not whites, sir.
But then Stanley Tucci just has to go, but his country was very recently communist. And they're like, you know what? You've got a point. You've got a real point.
He gets the job. It doesn't matter. None of that. See, that's the other thing is, like, there is a part of me that kind of wanted to see Stanley Tucci just destroyed by this whole thing, right? Like, his life completely ruined, and in the end, he just jumps off the roof of the place. But everything kind of works out for everybody. It's pretty...
Yeah, he still gets his promotion, which I guess is ultimately is a realistic depiction where huge racism is not a big deal to the people who work at CBP.
Well, I also love that, like, Stanley Tucci's boss is like, the most important part of this job is the people. It's compassion. We have compassion here at Customs and Border Patrol, and don't you fucking forget it.
That it's compassion that leads us to run down those Haitian immigrants on horses.
Well, I thought you were going to say the most unrealistic part is the part where the guy takes himself hostage and they don't just shoot him. Like, he's not holding anybody else at gunpoint or knife point or whatever he's got. It's just like, oh, I'll kill myself. And it's like, dude, it's 2004. We killed you 5 minutes ago.
Well, Nando, again,
brought in wrong medicine.
The man's white. Like,
that guy's not as white as Tom Hanks, though. He's I think he's in questionable territory. I think he's in danger.
They might need to bring up that Family Guy color wheel to be like,
I was going to say,
are we allowed to shoot him for this? I don't know.
I feel like they, I don't think he's going to make it out of there. But he also, just also did that. And they're like, oh, right, you get to keep your medicine and leave. No, you don't.
Yeah,
You're still going to jail or something. You can't just do that, right? They're not going to put that guy in a plane with other people. Just, all right, you're calm now. You got it out of your system. Okay, now you're going on a cross-country flight to Krakozhia, I guess. Or, no, not Russia or wherever he's from.
This guy is Russian.
Yeah.
So you're going from New York to Russia. 10, 12-hour flight, whatever. Good luck.
Yeah, he probably has another layover because he came from Canada.
That's true. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true.
I also love that Victor doing this endears him to, like, the working class of the airport. So, like, they all, like, support him now. Like, we love you, Victor. This is, like, what does it. This is what gets everyone on Victor's side.
Well, and the part of this movie where he goes to the, where he puts his hand on the scanner, and that becomes, his symbol, his little Hunger Games, salute thing.
His little Mockingjay.
I thought it would be the opposite. Yeah, I assumed it would be how they found him. They were like, oh, you're a citizen, like you're some sort of wanted terrorist because now they have his fingerprints. So I guess they would have had them already. But, yeah, I don't know. It is weird. They all already like him mostly. Also, it's weird that there's people in the airport that still don't seem to know who he is by this point.
Yeah, right? He would be a celebrity.
Day 5, everybody on the airport would hear about this guy. Especially the construction guys. There's no way they would be tricked by him. Somebody like, yeah, you see, we're working with that Victor guy, huh? Wait, who? Oh, you don't know? And then you're good, but...
Oh, I guess he works for Eddie. It's not my guy. It's not your guy. Eddie's guy.
Right, because he's also applied to every job at the airport by this point. So, like, everybody at all the stores have probably talked about him over drinks at normal poker nights and stuff.
He's not good for Burger King, unskilled labor, but skilled labor? Oh, sign this guy right up.
Yeah, and to be fair, he'd be horrible at Burger King. Like, he can only do a job where he doesn't have to speak to anyone. I guess he could, like, make the hamburgers in the back, but, like, he'd give people all the wrong stuff because that's just how this guy works.
Also, 75 cents for a Whopper. Oh,
I know, right?
Couldn't believe it.
2004. I mean, pre-inflation, obviously, but also just like 2004.
Yeah.
Like, and in an airport. So that means, like, Whoppers in the real world are like 30 cents. It's insane. Ugh. I did like his little job. Is that a real thing? Those, like, little things, you get the quarter for them and then you just leave them there?
I think they used to be.
I mean, most people don't leave them there. Like, well, like Aldi, if you go to an Aldi, they still have the carts with the quarters.
Well, but you'd leave them there if you were getting on a plane, right? Because you'd take it to your plane and then just, what, are you going to go back? I guess you could, but, like, I feel like most people would just be like, well, I'm done. I don't need that quarter.
I lose my quarter, yeah, right?
Yeah, but, yeah, instead they hire a guy because they hate Victor so much.
I love that, by the way. He just, like, Stanley Tucci made a new position. I'm customer relations for airport security.
I could see a moment in the movie, in a different version of this movie, where, like, Victor is like wrestling carts away from people. I need for Burger King. Give me carts. And then he's like, all right, we got to do something about this guy.
I thought that's what was going to happen. Kids. He does tip the kids onto the ground, so there's that.
That's true. He's crushing people's luggages. He's a menace.
He's a menace.
He's the Spider-Man of the airport.
Yeah, I guess I didn't put this on the list. I know one of you guys mentioned it. I guess this would have been an undershare. Didn't really talk about the time he gets radiation, too. That's not good.
Oh, that's on the wheel?
I thought it was, but I didn't put it on, or it got deleted or something.
I said it could be Cher's panties or that, so we went with Cher's panties.
Right, so what's the story with that?
Well, Gupta is convinced he's a spy, so in order to be willing to play poker with him, he makes them test him for, like, a hidden mic or whatever. And they do that.
What was the wheel chunk called, Diggins? What did you call it?
It was Victor Navarsky dies of cancer. Because instead of doing him in one of those... I mean, I don't think they existed yet, but you know those things you stand in and you put your arms up and they do a quick scan on you?
Yeah.
Instead of one of those, they put him through the suitcase one, the suitcase x-ray machine, and he just slides through the conveyor belts on his back. And that's not safe for people.
Yeah, I always wonder about that. How much of that could you take? Is that something where, like, if you do it 10 times in your life, you're gonna die? Or is it something where you do it once, you're game over?
I don't know, personally.
Because, like, I feel like they always say, like, you know, you put on the big smock at the dentist's office and then they run out of the room and turn the thing on. It's like, yeah, you can take it once or twice a year. But if they got it every day, they would explode. But, like, I wonder... Because it is like a full, like, x-ray of him wiggling around and, like, it's really weird.
It's remember the Futurama episode where, like, they have the x-ray gun and, or the Z-ray gun and they shoot at Fry's junk. It's like, ow, my sperm. Do it again. Didn't feel it that time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely not having kids anymore. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
Also, it, like, not to, like, nitpick, but... The way those machines work is, like, you wouldn't see, like, a full-body x-ray of a guy. Because, like, it's not full-blown like that. Like, that's why you can't, like, have water in your luggage, because it can't see through the water. Like, it can't see through the molecules of the water. So, like, all the water inside you would obscure the image. It wouldn't be perfect with, like, the bones and everything. It wouldn't play out like that.
Do you think these guys have done this before to each other for fun? As, like, punishment for losing the poker game? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like they've thought about this.
Yeah, as someone who didn't have any more items to bet, instead taking a ride through the x-ray machine.
Mm-hmm. Ugh, Victor.
Victor.
I feel like we've gotten through this whole thing. Still haven't really talked about what's her name. She's not coming up on the wheel. So real quick, what's the deal with Catherine Zeta-Jones?
Like, okay, so... I think this whole subplot's nonsense, so allow me to rant. She is a flight attendant. She has a little meet cute with Victor when her, like, heel breaks, and she's like, "Oh, Opa, this is for you. The shoe. Pay less. Get new shoes." And it turns out she is with a guy, which makes him crestfallen, but the guy she is with is married. So she is the other woman in this affair he's having. And she's like, I can't do this. I'm so toxic. I got to stop doing this. This whole thing. And then they break up because she's, like, mad about the whole situation. And it seems like Victor begins to court her. But then it falls apart because Stanley Tucci pulls her away for questioning. And she's like, I don't know what all this is about. Then she learns, and she's like, all you men are the same. You're all liars. And she's like, what are you doing here? And, like, he told her he was living there. Like, he said that.
Well,
and she's like, no, it always feels like you're living in an airport.
He tried to tell her she didn't understand, and then he did kind of let her believe the thing she believed. He didn't try that hard to correct her.
I guess. But, all right, so then she gets over it, because
he built her a fountain.
Yeah, which, damn, that was crazy.
I love the excuse for why he's allowed to do that, which is his boss sees him doing it, and it's like, I can't ask him what he's doing, because I'm supposed to tell him what he's doing. Like, he's...
Honestly, perfect logic.
He's so concerned about looking a fool in front of Tom Hanks that he won't even ask him to stop doing the incredibly illegal thing he's doing.
I think it's very true to form and very accurate by the movie. So then, as it happens, like, he takes her out to dinner, and they have a very lovely dinner, and she's like, oh, I can't do this. And then they, like, decide, like, enough is enough. But then the war is over. So they have a big party at a bar, and Catherine Zeta-Jones shows up, and then she's like, I have a friend in Washington who got you a one-day visa so you could do what you're going to do in New York. He had told her that he's got to get this autograph from a jazz musician because it's a whole thing. So he gets his one-day visa, which turns out to not work because it wasn't signed, which is insane, by the way. Like, nothing can go right for this guy. But in order to get it, she had to get back with the guy. So now they can't be together. So it's like, okay, there's going to be something where they get together. And it just ends where he leaves because, Gupta sacrifices himself on the cross for Victor. And they see each other, have an understanding, and that's it. Done. What the fuck?
Yeah.
It's the worst love story ever.
And just the worst story for her. Like, her whole thing sucks.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know. I don't have a problem with it the way you guys do. I mean, I feel like it is a very realistic depiction of someone in that kind of relationship where it is very turbulent and, like, it's not good for you, but something keeps drawing you back. And I don't know. I appreciated like I said, I appreciate the kind of ships passing in the night nature of it. In a way where it's not a complete story, but I didn't feel like it was trying to be.
See, I do. I feel like this movie's not realistic in any other way. It's all a big crazy fantasy. So I don't see why. It's not that I don't think her and him should be together. It is this, like, I do find the whole thing where it's like, oh, I guess I'm back with him. Really can't help myself. The end.
It's awful.
Like,
it's awful.
It didn't really happen. So why not just make her, I don't know, have figured it out? Or also, it doesn't matter because the paper doesn't matter. None of it matters. He just leaves. Yeah. And it's fine because nobody gives a shit. So,
the paper only doesn't matter because Stanley Tucci is being unbelievably unreasonable about it.
Right, but, like, the whole thing goes exactly the same way without the paper. Victor decides to go. Victor, it gets back on his plane. Gupta does his thing. Victor's like, you know what? Gupta gave me this chance. I'm going to go do it. He goes to the door. Stanley Tucci doesn't want him to, and then he decides he does because everybody, proves how much they love him. Like, the paper means nothing.
Like, when she sees him, that should be the moment where she's like, oh, he did it. Awesome. Like, he should just be like, okay, I'm going to be with Victor. Victor is my destiny.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's just bizarre to me that she's not at that jazz club with him. And because I think that they need to be together forever, but just because I feel like you need a little bit of closure on that relationship. Because the movie is about it. Like, the movie starts being about the airport thing, but then it's about that for a lot. And
yeah, it's true.
Like, if we're going realistic movie, I want Victor Navorsky let off in handcuffs at the end of the movie then or something. Like, I want you see him drive away and then you see like 15 police cars following him and you're like, oh, they're gonna get him. Because I spun the wheel again, landed on something else. This one's one of mine. I'll fire this whole airport. Stanley Tucci gets cooed by his whole airport. Speaking of Victor Navorsky, and like, he's right, obviously, because you can't let this happen. But like, it does feel like this airport, I don't know, it's just it's very bad airport.
It's anarchy, man.
Yeah,
it's anarchy.
I feel like he could have gotten them to all quit that day. They love Victor and they hate Stanley Tucci.
Right?
I mean, when you lose the main cop, you know that you've lost. Like, there's nothing you can do to win everyone back in this battle. Which I think is why he gives up at the end. Where they're like, we could shut everything down and search all the cars. And he like looks back and sees the knives being sharpened. And he's like, yeah, fine. It's not that important.
I mean, the boys in blue, when they, post 9/11, like, they're the greatest heroes on Earth.
That's true.
Besides firefighters, like, they could do no wrong, so he has to listen to that main cop guy who's just kind of there. Also, I guess Victor's going back to the airport after that. It's probably an expensive jacket.
I love, by the way, how they try and build tension at the end where, like, Victor's at the jazz club and he's like, oh, can I get the autograph? He's like, I gotta play my set. Just wait, man. And he's like, okay, I'll wait. And then just smash cut to him leaving with the autograph.
I didn't feel like that was supposed to be tension building. I felt like that was just, he's come this far, he'll wait a little bit more. His whole thing is waiting.
I thought there was going to be a thing where it's like the real lesson was him experiencing the jazz and not getting the autograph, but like, no. Like, him listening to the jazz was more important than the actual autograph. The autograph was just symbolic.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the whole autograph thing is pretty insane. We haven't really talked about that.
I didn't understand it. Like, I thought I was missing something, but I just think that the movie needed a reveal, which is what's in the peanut jar.
Well, it's just supposed
it doesn't matter, but it is something that's so weird and trivial.
It's just supposed to be about him being such a nice guy, right? Like, where he's doing this whole thing just to keep a promise he made to his dying dad.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the part of it that I thought was so strange is she goes like, you did all of this for him? And Victor's like, he would do the same for me. It's like, he wouldn't, but you wouldn't want him to, right? You wouldn't be like, live in an airport for 9 months to get me one autograph even though I'm dead. Like, you understand why this is an insane thing for you to be doing. Huge waste of your life. Like, you're stuck here, so it doesn't matter. But it is, like, it just does feel like a very small amount of payoff.
Well, I guess
in this situation,
I guess I'm the only member of this podcast who loves his dad and understands what it means to sacrifice for someone else. I mean,
9 months, and you have to hang out with Gupta and all his horrible friends.
Your dad would not want that for you, Diggins. Yeah. I'm telling you, your dad would want you to be happy.
Sure, DJ, but the thing is, like, maybe your dad wouldn't want that for you, but you are doing this for them. You want them to be happy. So, like, you are willing to go through that hardship. Your dad doesn't want you to go through hardship. But it's more about, like, you are willing to do it because you love them that much and you want to show them this kindness,
I think
you're going to be joining him soon because you went through that X-ray machine, so...
True.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think I would get it if it were Ashes. There's something about this whole, like, signatures from random jazz musicians thing that makes it feel a little less like, who gives a shit? Like...
And then Ashes, he has to go. Right. He has to go to the place and
to be fair,
them.
That is an extremely famous photograph of some of the most famous jazz artists who have ever lived. So it's not like it's a random collection of people.
I know,
sure, but they're not like people he's met, or it's not like old friends of his that he has to see in person.
There's no meaning.
I don't understand how Victor. I'm not convinced Victor couldn't have done this with a phone call, right?
If your dad had a bunch of baseball cards that were like his prize collection, and all he was missing was a single card, and then it would be like a complete perfect collection, you don't think there would be any meaning in getting that last card for him?
I mean, I wouldn't lay my post at the Krakozhian army for it. Look what happened. The whole country's in turmoil now. People have died because he open the gate as he left and forgot to close it. And everybody
how
got
many
in.
lives was it worth?
Yeah. So how many more fathers have orphaned their children and forced them to go on weird baseball card quests? I spun the wheel again and landed on the last thing here. This is my biggest thing. And I remember, because I've seen this movie quite a few times. Like I said, it used to be on HBO all the time. I've seen it through probably at least 4 times before now. And it's been a while, so I didn't remember everything in the movie. But when we got near the end, I was like, I know what Gupta's going to do. But that can't be what he's going to do, right? Because that's insane. Like, the stakes are so low that he's going to do that. It's my wheel slice is just he's going to Guantanamo Bay. Gupta's dead, right? Like, his life is over. Yeah. Not because he's going back to India, because he's going to be tortured for decades. And it's not just because, he's Indian. It's because he attacked an airplane. But, like, that doesn't help. And I would feel so guilty if I was Victor after that.
Yeah.
He ruined a man's life.
I told you not to. Yeah, well, yeah. Like, he didn't want that.
And they do treat it like this heroic thing, and it's just like, it's baffling to me. For people that don't know, Victor's about to get on his plane and go and be, home without getting his one last autograph. And Gupta, who we have just determined earlier in the movie is wanted for murder in India, is going to jeopardize his status
murder.
as...
He did not kill the cop.
Oh.
Attempted murder.
Attempted murder. So he's wanted for attempted murder in India. It's going to jeopardize his status because it's also, which is weird, Stanley Tucci knew all about this all along, and he's been kind of lording this over everybody. But Gupta doesn't, I don't know, start a big fight in the airport or something. He takes his little mop, I think, and goes to get run over. Do you think, is he committing suicide there? If it goes the other way?
I think he knows what's going to happen.
But do you think he thinks he's going to get run over by the airplane until that last moment when it stops? I was
planes are not that fast before they take off. I don't think he's in any danger.
But
it would have been funny, though, if he just, rolled into him and the wheel crushed him.
And they've got to have so much momentum to move a plane. Like, stopping a plane like it's a car? I don't think you could do that. Planes don't have brakes like that. I mean, they have, air brakes, but, I don't know. I guess the part of me was at this point, Gupta, just fucking get crushed by the train. This isn't going to end well for you.
You're better off.
You're going to jail for the rest of your life. In 2004, you can't attack a plane, no matter how silly it is that you're using a mop or whatever. And yeah, I guess and part of why I think the end of this movie doesn't work for me, maybe why it left such a bad taste in my mouth, is how much everyone's life is worse except for Diego Luna. And I would say Zoe Saldana, except I think Zoe Saldana, she could do better.
Got a bad deal.
Yeah, considering what we know about Diego Luna and him being kind of a weirdo. But, everyone's life is worse. Besides,
I don't think so.
Yeah, besides Diego Luna.
Everyone's life is either the same or better, besides Gupta.
I guess that's fair. I guess, because, whatever her name is, Catherine Zeta-Jones is back to start. And Stanley Tucci's is better, but, he was given... I mean, I guess he could have just gone with it and everything would have been cool, but he just went through a lot of stress for pretty much no reason. He didn't lose his promotion or anything. I don't know. It's weird. But, yeah, I thought it was the worst.
Anyway, once again, we learned that DJ and Nando don't understand sacrificing for other people. I guess I'm the only person on this podcast with compassion. I don't know.
Maybe.
I understand
Maybe that is the case.
This is if he was if Victor was I really want to get the McRib. And I was all right, I'll create a distraction. I slit my head off, with a, the table saw, and just this will definitely give you, everybody will get out of line, and you can have your McRib. You've wanted it so much your whole life.
I do think it was more about, it's implied that the one cop tells him that Victor is doing this so that Gupta doesn't have to get deported, because he agrees to leave quietly so that his friends don't get in trouble. And I think it's more that being touched by that and deciding to, do this thing that will make that happen anyway so that he can go and do his thing without having to worry.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, but also insane to me. All in all...
Also, he's 80? How many years does he have left anyway?
That's a good point.
He's making a calculated decision.
Plus, he's definitely going to die of some sort of radiation thing from riding the thing. He's probably the first one that tried to do it.
Yeah, he's it's brilliant.
He's been trying to off himself for a very long time in different ways, just creatively. Trying to make enemies at the airport, that might have been part of it. And then, trying to get crushed by a plane, which would have been a cool way to die, Would have been on the news. He got crushed by what? The wheel? The wheel of the plane? Why? Why was he anywhere near the wheel? He's a janitor. There'd be so many questions. Jay Leno would make fun of it. It would be a big deal.
Oh, God, yeah. Headlines!
Yeah, you hear about this? The guy with the guy on the plane?
Hey, he usually mops up messes. The plane mopped him up.
Yeah. Well, the next guy came out with his mop, and then he got crushed. So... This movie is bad, and
gotta say, Nando has the way better Jay Leno impression there.
Oh yeah, I mean, I used to watch Jay Leno.
People always thought you had the best Elvis impression.
Did they?
Or best?
I think Nando and I got equal votes on that. If you go check the record,
I honestly haven't even looked, but
okay.
But yeah, I feel like I remember there was an episode of 30 Rock when they all did Leno's, and I was like, oh, okay, that's how you do a Jay Leno impression, and it's just that. Just really high pitched. Did you hear about this? Say this. Sometimes you could talk to Michael, the band leader, or Kevin. I can't remember. But yeah. Anyway, you guys, the movie's over. We don't have to talk about Terminal anymore. Any other thoughts on Terminal?
No, I think I got everything.
Are we going to have our Victor Navarsky off?
Oh, I forgot about that.
All right, let's do it.
Real quick.
Okay. Yeah. I guess we all try to say a phrase you can remember from the. I'm going to go on IMDb and find a phrase. I don't remember any of the words from this movie. Besides, the little things he mutters. But I want, a sentence. I want a full... So, go on IMDb, find a quote from the Terminal.
All right.
Or the Terminal list, whichever comes up first. And And yeah, we're gonna say our quotes. Something in his one of his lines. Okay, and then we'll all do our Victor Navorsky impression.
I'm ready. I'm ready when you guys are.
Yeah. So you want to go first then?
Sure. Sensible heels, payless shoe. You know what? Actually, that's terrible. Let me warm up here. Hello, I am Victor Navorsky. Payless shoes. Sensible heels, payless shoes. Second floor. There we go. Clean take.
Great.
All right, I got mine.
Okay.
Officer Torres, my friends say you are a stallion. A stallion, like a horse. It's a horse, beautiful horse. My food, my friend drive the food.
Okay. Okay. I think this one's I kind of remember when he said this. Big Apple tour include Brooklyn Bridge, Empire State, Broadway show, Cats.
I forgot he brings
and he's
up
like, Cats is closed. Yeah, that's the spawn con we need. So everybody comment on the thing, which one is best. Spoiler alert, they're all pretty bad, but also watch the movie, because this one you may not recognize how it sounds because it's such an old movie.
Watch a video, watch a YouTube video, the trailer or something, you know.
Yeah.
You don't have to watch all 2 hours of it.
It goes off Netflix pretty soon, so, you know. So that's it for Terminal. But before we end the show, do you guys want to get to our classic segment?
I would love that. And I'm the only one, right. I guess, because no one else is saying anything about it.
He's putting on his makeup. DJ, do you have anything you want to recommend to the fine people?
I do. So my rec might seem kind of basic this week, but it is something I very much enjoyed. I would like to recommend Andor for the fine folks. I hope I'm not stealing one from you guys.
Do you think I watched something on time?
Okay. And Andor's got a million comments.
I watched the first one, but I haven't caught up. Like, I'm not caught up on it, so it wasn't be my rec.
Okay. So yeah, I watched all three. I really, really like the show. I don't really like say too much about it, but I think for what I was hoping for like a grittier Star Wars show that has some things that like you don't normally see in Star Wars, and I was like, wow, this is here? All right, we're doing this. But all positive, silly droid character, of course. Like, it has the staples, but it also, like, I think is kind of expanding the format for, hey, like, what if we just told a story in this universe that, yes, focuses on a character, but also shows some other kinds of factions of what else is going on in the Empire that we haven't seen before that I think are really, like, fun to watch. So I'm legit excited for this show. I think the first 3 episodes are very promising, and I'm just really anticipating what looks like will be a good Star Wars product. I am biased because I am a Star Wars hack, much as like Nando is a Marvel hack, but I really do think it's a good piece of art, and I'm enjoying it so far. So I want to wreck it for the fine folks.
Is Diego Luna better in this or the other one in Terminal?
I thought you were going to say this or Rogue One. He is better in this than the Terminal for sure.
Wow.
Wow, he must be really good in Andor, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he is. He's very good in Andor. He's a good Cassian Andor. So, yeah, that's my rec.
Cool. All right, Diggins, do you want to recommend anything to the fine people?
I do. I have 2 little ones. One is just a well, actually, they're both kind of continuation of previous recs. But one is that Mr. Tim Rogers of Action Button Reviews fame has released a new video, the first video of his season 2 of his extreme, absurdly long videos, where he reviews Boku no Natsuyasumi, a Japanese game about a month out in the countryside during a child's summer break. As usual, it's about so much more than just how good is the game. It's an expansive thing about the very nature of what the game is about and the philosophy behind the game and random tangents about his life and existential crises he has gone through. It's so hard to describe what these things are if you haven't watched them, but they are genuinely worth the 6 hours that they run, and I love them very much. So,
have you finished this one?
No, it only just came out yesterday from where we're recording, and I was out all day yesterday with some friends of mine got married this weekend, and because of that, another friend of mine who lives on the West Coast was in the city for the first time in years. So I spent a lot of time with him yesterday, catching up. So
right.
I unfortunately haven't had the time to go all the way through it. I've watched about a third of it, though, and It's just as good. He has yet to really talk much about the game itself in the part I'm in, which is not surprising at all.
I got about halfway through it. Or not halfway through, Jesus. A half hour in before I was like, I have other things I have to do today, and I'm not going to be able to do this and them. Like, I can't watch this and also do something else. This is a full attention kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I've been watching it he segmented it in parts, so I've been watching like one part, moving on, doing something else, watching another part, etc., etc. So that's how I've been doing it. I also have another previous rec that is back, which is finally, I didn't even know this was going to happen. I wasn't sure it ever would. We have a second season of Los Spookies.
Yeah, I keep forgetting to watch that. Is it any good?
It's very funny. Yeah, no, they haven't lost it. I had trouble remembering what had happened because season 1 was so long ago, but honestly, it's not like a plot-heavy show anyway, so it doesn't matter that much.
Yeah.
It's just...
Oh my god, I can't believe it's been that... Yeah, it's been forever.
I know. It was in the before times that season 1 came out. I remember because I first watched it on a plane ride.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Los Spookies, if you don't remember last time I wrecked it, is an HBO show, just like a half-hour comedy set in a vague Latin American country. They deliberately don't say where it is, and in fact, if you know Spanish dialects very well, everyone talks an insane mishmash of accents that doesn't make any sense. Which is it's a show that very well integrates bilingual nature, where there's like stuff in the Spanish that if you know Spanish you get and like adds to it, but if you don't know the Spanish, the show works perfectly well just reading the subtitles.
Yeah, I've read that I remember seeing something when the first season came out about how much work they put. Did you see this?
I don't think so.
Into the subtitles, because they don't want the subtitles to give away jokes. Like they want and I always hate this about subtitles, but they put a lot of timing into them so that all the subtitles work as well as listening to it in the native language. Yeah.
I think that effort really shows, because there is I mean, I don't know Spanish well enough to follow what they're saying because they speak very quickly because they're fluent speakers. So I mostly rely on the subtitles, and yeah, like the jokes still work really well because they did put a lot of effort into that.
Yeah, I wish more people and shows would do that for stuff like this, and I know why they can't, and it's hard, but sometimes, and it's not just shows in other languages, like American subtitles or English subtitles, shows I watch that are, produced in a language I'm familiar with. Sometimes I'll just watch them with subtitles because I'm like, I can't hear it super well or whatever. And like a lot of the times they just give away the next line kind of. And that I'm like, I'm watching it. I know how it's supposed to be interpreted. And this subtitle is not a good way to do that. So yeah, I really appreciate it.
So the basic premise is like they are special effects people who love horror movies, and they set up scenarios in the real world for people who need fake supernatural solutions to their problems, like faking a sea monster sighting for a town that relies on tourism, or faking an exorcism for a famous exorcist priest who, is starting to lose some of his fame, so he wants one to get back on top. Like, weird things like that. Yeah. It's a very...
They're Scooby-Doo villains.
Yeah, they're Scooby-Doo. They are the people helping Scooby-Doo villains do their villainy.
Yeah.
And it's... the ones in this season especially, both of the jobs are for some very... not very good people. But, it's got this very dry sense of humor, this very kind of, like, magical realism sort of thing, where there's magic and there is real magic and supernatural stuff, but like nobody cares. It's really funny and totally worth checking out. I think the only name people might recognize is what's his name, Julio Torres.
Yeah, I think he's kind of a guy. Fred Armisen was in the first.
Oh yeah,
season.
duh. Fred Armisen is in it too. He's not a very major character, but he has his own little subplots.
Yeah, I imagine he is a producer who also wanted to be in it. Or kind of like, it's like, yeah, well, I mean, we got Fred Armisen. He's involved, so let's make sure he's in as much as we can. But yeah, he's definitely... You could cut most of his stuff and it would still work. I also feel like I've been seeing the Ambassador around a lot, and a lot of stuff. You know what I'm talking about? The blonde lady?
Yeah. She comes back in this seson, so I know who you
popping up everywhere. Yeah. And Carol Kane was in the first season. I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah. I also forgot. That was really fun.
Right? Yeah, I gotta watch that again. And John Early, right? Oh, yeah, this is a good show.
There's 2 episodes out right now in the second season. There's probably only going to be like 6 total. That's all there was in the first season. So, but well worth your time, and not take up much of your time. In fact, let me think. I think it would take you less time to watch every existing episode of Los Spookies than it would to watch that Tim Rogers video I just recommended.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're much shorter.
So
plus you could cut the you don't have to listen or watch the credits of each episode. So yeah,
right, yeah. So
you can find some time.
Another really fun one. Those are my recs, though. Nando, do you have anything you'd like to recommend to the fine people?
I was thinking about this. I really don't think I've watched too much new stuff. Like, I feel like I've had like Community on in the background. I don't think I watched any movies this weekend. I was really trying to think about this, but I don't have a great answer for any new things that I've watched. I have read a fair amount of comics in the last couple weeks. The only one that stands out is like one that I feel like I could recommend. It's 2. I have a new one and an old one. One, I'm not sure what the run is or when it came out. I want to say like 2004, but I think and this isn't for research or anything, I think I was just like, I haven't read a good Catwoman book in a very long time. So what's the best Catwoman story? And I'll read that. And I believe, it's this one. It's from 2012, actually. People call it Catwoman of East End. It's by Ed Brubaker and Darwin Cook. And it's pretty good. Very, like, kind of, not like low stakes, because that's not what it is, but it's the, God, how would I describe it? It's just, like, Catwoman's, like, trying to kind of, not, like, find herself, but she's like, what do I do? If I'm not doing jewel thieving, what am I? Do I protect people? How do I fit into what Batman's doing? So it's her, like, solving some mysteries and stuff like that. But, just in general, I think besides it being a fun, story, the art is very fun. I would recommend it. I don't know if it's also drawn by Darwin Cook. It's got to be, right? The art style's too similar. Yeah. So if you don't know him, he did like New Frontier. I think that's probably what he's most known for. But it's a very like pop isn't the right word, but it's a very specific art style that I find very fun to just look at. And that's part, I think, for me, of the appeal of this, and also, like I said, it's just kind of light, which is fun. And yeah, I mean, if you've never read New Frontier, read that. But I'm looking at some other stuff he's written or drawn for. But apparently he had a falling out with Marvel editor Axel Alonso, and then didn't really do too much with them anymore. Anyway, so that was good. Another book that I'm reading, but this one's a new one, is a book called Exterminators. This was a book. There was, like every X-Men team, there's been with this before. Every word that has the word X in it, they've made an X-Men team that starts with X. And this one, I don't even remember what it used to be, but the new one is the first book is 3 it's like 3 friends. So it's Dazzler gets broken up with by a guy, and then she calls Jubilee and Boom Boom to go out and get drunk together, and then they kind of stumble into a weird thing. But it's as close as I could think of to like a straight up adult comedy, and not like adult comedy like sex comedy, but just adult comedy like they say fuck and act like adults in like X-Men comics right now. It's got a very fun tone. It's very silly. The art is great. I don't recognize the name. I know it's by Leah Williams.
In that premise, Boom Boom feels like the real hanger-on in this situation. Real coattail rider.
It's funny, because it seems like Boom Boom, I mean, I don't know. So it's by Carlos Gomez is the artist. I gotta look this up. But it's like the situation is like Jubilee's like a friend, so she's definitely there. And it seems like Boom Boom is the friend that you would call if you're like, we're going to go out and get drunk. Like, let's get Boom Boom. She'll be down for that sort of thing.
Boom Boom will bring the fucking party.
Yeah, I hate saying it. The more it's come out of my mouth recently, the more I'm like, I just got to start calling her Tabitha. Boom Boom doesn't work as words to say for a human being. But she is fun. And Jubilee's fun. I like Jubilee written this way. Because she's not, I assume she's still a mom in this continuity. I don't think her kid Dragon is dead or anything, but I like that she's just like, it's kind of a return to like the young, not the most important people in the world, X-Men, that I quite enjoy. And obviously Dazzler's great. And X-23, Laura shows up in the end, and she seems like she's going to be a main player. So yeah, it's fun. Yeah, those are the only two things I've watched. Oh no, there's one other thing, or read. There's a YouTuber I started watching who I absolutely love. I was not familiar with him before. I kind of assumed if I opened up YouTube, it would just be there, and it is not. Oh wait, let me try switching to this account. I bet it will. Nope. Anyway, there's this guy, and he makes videos about stuff. Let me look up one of them. Look up the Stuart Little video. That feels like one that. Yes. Okay. So this guy's name is Leo Vader. Have you ever heard of him, Diggins?
I don't think so. No.
He's just like kind of like not like a normal video essayist, but he makes like videos that are, but they're very like, I don't want to say like high concept because that's not it, but they usually kind of have a dumb question or a dumb kind of thought that they interrogate in the video. So for instance, the one that I was looking for is, can they understand the cat in Stuart Little? And it's just him going through the 2 Stuart Little movies and trying to figure out what the reality of Stuart Little is, and specifically why some animals work and some don't. The video that I found, and that video is very good, the video that turned me on to Leo Vader was one called Who's a Better Inventor, Elon Musk or Wallace and Gromit? And it's just judging those two as like, which one is invented, because they have invented a couple of the same things. And it's so funny. Like, this dude is just, the videos are, it's very quick, it's very, like, the humor is very slick. But like, if you want a video where someone just really shits on Elon Musk, it's a good place to start. But I've watched a bunch of these other ones, like, was the Turtle Club scene really shot on 9/11? Ranking movies where Brendan Fraser emerges from the past. Serial mascot tier list based on their power level in terms of like what they could do. So like, it's pretty fun. I would definitely recommend. Like I said, his name is Leo Vader.
I would be afraid to watch that Turtle Club one, though, because if I found out it wasn't filmed on 9/11, that would crush me.
Listen, it's not, but it's not like, the story is kind of true. Basically, that's the gist of it. So like, it's not a complete lie, but
I don't know.
I mean, if you watch the video, you'll kind of get where he's going with it, but it is like, kind of like, listen, is as insane as the whole story would be, just the thought that like at 8:50 in the morning, East Coast time, they were filming a movie in California already doesn't track. But the story of it was 9/11 adjacent. So anyway, the video does a good explanation of it. But yeah, so he has a whole segment of what he calls jaunts. And those are kind of these videos that I'm describing. MasterChef Junior and TV So Fake It's Illegal. That was another good one I watched recently. Oh, and then the best one, the one that I think was like, immediately when I saw what he was making, I was like, well, I gotta watch this. We're the magicians and now you see me, wizards or what? He goes through all of their tricks and stuff and figures out which ones were and were not wizards.
That question has been plaguing you for years, Nando.
And he comes up with a very satisfying answer of at least one of them is a wizard. One of them seems to have a twin. And the other ones are just kind of semi-talented performers that have lots of fancy technology. But like, there is at least one who it's like, this guy's doing something weird. There's no way. So, and they're just really funny. So yeah, Leo Vader, definitely would recommend. Any of those that I've said are good ways to start off. It even had one that has VR caught up to Ready Player One or Spy Kids 3D, where he tries to recreate everything the main characters do in VR in VR chat, that things that happen in Spy Kids 3D and Ready Player One. So like the big race, or the time he fights a bunch of frogs on pogo sticks and stuff, and it's pretty funny. So yeah, I do want to do that thing I did last week where I read a good review of us, so 5-star review. Oh, at least 2. This one is from someone named Adam, and it just says,
"There's more than one."
Good stuff. It's good stuff, and you know it. You're bothering to read this, so it must be true. Smiley face, 5 stars. Thanks, Adam. We appreciate it. Yeah, it's pretty good. And so yeah,
you know what?
If you put reviews,
I don't think a review needs to be anything else.
They're good. 5-star reviews. I'll even take a 4. Honestly, we'll read them on air, maybe. Okay. So next segment, plugs. DJ, do you have anything to plug?
Check out Roses and Rejections. We're covering Bachelor in Paradise, the show that's better than The Bachelor and Bachelorette, hopefully, and is fun. So check that out.
All right. Diggins, do you have anything to plug?
I do. I have my usuals. I have my newsletter, littleperspective.substack.com. I stream sometimes at twitch.tv/thisisanodname. And Ballads of the Distant Reaches, which I have previously written for, has recently launched their paid tier of the whole project, where you can subscribe, like have a monthly subscription, and you receive not only the stories they've already been putting out, but also little extra bits, little extra short stories, or things about the world or whatever. And so you should go do that if you want to, because A, they're really cool and interesting, and B, if they have more money, they have money to pay people to write stories for them. Best way Perhaps returning authors, who can say? Okay. You can just go to distantreaches.com. And that'll take you right to their website.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, I just have videos that have come out recently.
What about you, Nando? You got anything to plug?
One is a YouTube video that is casting the 4 youngest members of the Bat family, and then there's one on Nebula that is just on Nebula that is casting 3 other members of the Bat family, the 3 most recent members of the Bat family. So not youngest in terms of age, but in publication. So those are both out now. You can watch those. I don't know when this will go out. I probably won't have another video, but I think I will have something else coming up relatively soon. But I don't want to say what that is because I don't want to get in trouble if I don't do it. We will see. Yeah, next. Oh, and then next week, what are we doing? What are we going to do next week? Are we going to do Hocus Pocus?
Rocktober.
Or are we starting Rocktober?
Yeah, we do Hocus Pocus.
Because, by next week, we will have watched Hocus Pocus.
Yes.
Hocus Pocus.
But also, The Rock isn't in it as far as we know.
As far as we know, there might be a cameo.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, we're either going to do Hocus Pocus or probably like Dwayne Johnson, League of Super Pets.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out for that. Until next week, I've been at Andovi Movies on Twitter.
I'm at To Be By Day.
I'm at This Is an Odd Name.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
Woohoo! Bye. We love you.